What's good, friends list? Episode 19 of the Game Pass Gamecast coming at you. And with the end of the decade fast approaching, which, how crazy is that shit, we decided to cook up a special topic for this week's show. We're dialing the clock all the way back to almost 10 years ago, and we're making our list of the top games of the decade that was the 2010s. In a decade chock full of genre-defining experiences, really, we definitely had our work cut out for us, but we settled on quite the list that we think both represents our taste while also paying homage to those titles that are just way too good not to include. Plus, it looks like we may have some news coming soon regarding BioWare's newest upcoming entry in the famed Dragon Age series. But will Dragon Age 4 be able to steady the ship at BioWare after its previous two releases stumbled? All of this and more coming up on a massive new episode of the Game Pass Gamecast.
Now the fun begins. Budget.
Stop! You violated the law.
What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Game Pass Gamecast. As always, I am your host, Travis White, aka Travis on most internet platforms. As always, joining me, the trio, back together again. We got Mike P. Pack and Adam Marshy Marsh. Guys, what's good? Mike, what's good? What's going on? And what have you been playing, man?
Not much has changed with me. Still schooling, working. Pretty much just playing Halo. Almost basically exclusively because I'm trying to get a montage put together. Yeah, so I played some of the new season of Apex. I've been enjoying that a little bit. But mainly just playing Halo, trying to finish my montage and everything.
And you were
just trying to get some clips. Yeah.
And you were telling me now you're getting back into, really, I guess, online poker with at least legal online poker with PA.
In Pennsylvania, yeah. Finally got some legal online poker going.
And you're pretty, I don't want to say pretty decorated poker player, but for really, I guess, our age bracket and non-professional speaking in a casual sense, you're pretty damn good at poker. You made a decent chunk of money off of it.
Yeah, I've done okay. In my life as far as poker. Yeah, definitely, I wouldn't say that I'm like super successful or anything, but
you're better than most.
I've made more money than I've lost for sure. But I've also had my fair share of licks, so.
Yeah. Oh, there's a few times I remember us, you, me, Spat, Mike Collins, frequent listener, and hopefully one day will be joining us on the show. Remember the one time of the Dr. Patula night? That, Mike lost quite a bit of money that night, and we never heard from him again until he texted us, later that day. But, yeah, I would definitely say, skill-wise, easily better than most. You at least of the casual sense. You have a bit more of an insight of the game and what's going on, and can definitely hold your own at the table, I'd say.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So, Adam, turning to you, my man. What's good? What's going on? And what have you been playing?
So the other night, I just finished my second playthrough of the Blue Lions on Fire Emblem.
The everlasting crack pipe, man. Now, what do you think? Now, granted, obviously, different styles of game and different pools, I guess you want to say, with gameplay and whatnot. What do you think's been a little more addicting, New Vegas or Three Houses? I feel like it's a little closer than what at face value you'd think.
There's just something about Fire Emblem that's like, I feel like it repels me at times. Like the game almost doesn't want to be binge played, but I just keep coming back to it. New Vegas, I could sit down in front of it and play for quite a while, like in long sessions, but I don't have many of those before I eventually get bored. I usually don't finish a game of New Vegas when I start. I'll, get so far and then I'll just let it go. But
yeah, Fire
Emblem, something just keeps bringing me back. And like that very night, we started our third playthrough because there's 4 different routes. We're probably only going to play 3 of them. But
yeah,
now maybe by the end I'll be like, coming back for 4.
I can't remember if I've asked you. You have previous experience with Fire Emblem, but not, I would say, like you're not a dedicated fan. Played all of them. You do have past experience with the franchise, though, correct?
Right. A fake fan?
Loser.
I only started playing them in like the last maybe year or 2. I played Awakening and Shadows of Valentia, both on the 3DS. Before that, I had played a couple minutes of the first a Game Boy Advance title that was in North America, but I never got very far.
Yeah, it's crazy. At least from what I've heard and what I've seen on NPD sales numbers, it looks like Three Houses will easily be the best-selling Fire Emblem game in the series, especially stateside. It's really cool to see that franchise kind of evolve from where it was as really such a pretty hefty title for Nintendo over in Japan, and it's pretty crazy to see that translate finally and click with a lot of people. Granted, the Switch's install base being so massive so early at, like, I believe it was 41 million now between regular traditional Switches and Switch Lites. That definitely helps, but having that kind of step up and be yet another big tentpole franchise now for Nintendo is just kind of crazy for me to think about.
I don't know the specifics of all the history, but it seems like it was a case of, like, Japan had been making the games for a long time. They didn't think they would do well in North America.
No.
But once Roy and Marth appeared in Smash worldwide, America was like, yo, can we get some of that? And Japan was like, all right, here you go. And it did gangbusters.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy there's a whole generation of gamers who, for the longest time, just thought Roy and Marth that they were just Smash characters. They weren't Fire Emblem characters, they were just Smash characters. Like, they didn't know they came from a series, they thought they were just from Smash, like created characters or something.
I mean, that's what Captain Falcon is shaping up to be.
I mean, realistically, as sad as that is, it's funny. I popped on after I beat Link to the Past earlier a couple months ago. After that, when I was playing on the SNES games on Switch, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna jump into F-Zero. I haven't fucking played an F-Zero game since Nom, so I was like, I'm gonna jump in there, and man, like, it just boggles my mind that with how big now the Switch's install base is, there's so many there's a niche for every different style of player on that system right now that could be available. That they haven't put out another. They know it. I mean, I know it'll sell. At bare minimum, it'll sell with the hardcore fans, and just because of it being a Nintendo property, Captain Falcon being one of the most recognizable Smash characters, and like you're saying, now he basically just is a Smash character. That it just boggles my mind that they haven't seen that as a viable option for another franchise to put out on that system. I mean, it will sell easily. There's no other, like, I can't see it not. So,
I don't want to linger too long, but I've also been playing some Age of Empires 3 and some 7 Days to Die with you guys.
Hell yeah,
it is. Except for me, I didn't get in on the 7 Days to Die, unfortunately.
Mike was working, but we'll continue playing probably this week.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll jump in there. I think that would be a cool, whenever we start, kind of branching off, we talked about it a few times, starting to branch off and do maybe some community streams and community play sessions, things like that. I think that's definitely one that would be a great staple in that kind of rotating carousel of games that we could use.
Yeah, for sure.
It translates so well to me. It's like Rust, it's like Minecraft. It's just one of those games.
It's very digestible.
Yes, that anybody could really jump in. But on my end, it's kind of been a capper week. And I mean that I've kind of tied off a lot of loose ends of games that I started and got really close to the end and then never finished. Just kind of looking at my backlog, I was like, well, I know Death Stranding's coming up this week. I don't want to start anything big. It's one of those, it's kind of like leading into Outer Worlds, where it was, you know what, I know that I have this game coming up that I really want to get into and sink my teeth into, but I don't want to start anything and then just shut it off. So, a lot of games that I kind of saw sitting there. I finally finished Shadow of the Colossus. Picked that up like probably well over a year ago, easily well over a year ago, probably a year and a half ago. The first day I got it, I had like an off day from work. I was like, I want to buy a game, sit down and just like play all day. Just a day where I have nothing to do. Pick that game up. Literally got to the end of the game. It's not a long game. It's like a 6-hour runtime at the very, very, very most.
Right. Got
towards the end of it. Got to the final boss, and it was just, I was playing on hard, granted, but like, it just was it was more unfair that it was just like, okay, that's just stupid. I'm not progressing, not for the sake of my skill, but just because of how this is designed. This is dumb. And I stopped, turned it off, and was like, I'm done. For some reason, I saw it sitting there on my shelf. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to beat that. I'm going to spend the hour and just fucking beat this cocksucker. Ended up beating it. Got it done. Cool. Then I thought of it. I was like, what other games am I like really close on beating that I could just get the trophies or achievements or whatever? The Uncharted game on PlayStation Vita. I know I'm like a psychopath for like being like, yeah, I'm gonna play that. I love Uncharted because, and you'll see in our top,
just because the Vita. Or
yeah,
whatever?
just because it's on the Vita, I'm like, man, you know what? I could really go for playing the fucking PlayStation Vita. But I use it a lot for like remote play, and if I want to play a Telltale game and my fiance's watching TV or something like that it's really easy to do remote play with, nothing too intensive, I'll use it all the time for that. It's pretty cool. It's better than using like a phone or a tablet or something. But pop that in, finish that. Great fucking game. I hope they eventually bring that to like the PlayStation Network or something like that the whole huge install base that the PlayStation 4 has, all those people who love Uncharted can play that because like 3 people, including myself, have played that game on Vita because there's like 3 Vitas in the wild. But yeah, played that, beat that. I only had like a couple chapters left on that. It was one of those things. Cool, capped it. And then what else did we play? There was something else that Molly and I started Life is Strange. Really cool game. I've never played it before. We got a couple, like we're about chapter and a half in, and the writing's excellent. It's very obviously Telltale-y. It's more, I think it's a little more interactive than most Telltale games in terms of you're actually needing to go from objective to objective at times.
Right.
Compared to Telltale games where they're more, this is very much a visual novel. This is you just doing QTEs, which are fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
It tells a story and they're great, and I love them for their place because that's a way for Molly and I, my fiance, to play games together because she loves them. So
Sure.
We started playing that. Great. Love it. Still chipping away at Outer Worlds. Not as much of a hook in it as I thought I would get, but still a great game. Definitely deserving of the praise it gets, and I'm glad it's finding its audience soon. But this doesn't pertain to games, but I just want to tell this story that I had. There's so many, like, just, like, weird fucking incidents that happen with me that I like to talk about that people are probably like, this guy's a fucking psychopath for bringing it up. Like, I love using the word psychopath because I think that describes some of the fucking shit that I deal with, like, the people and the, like, situations that I get into.
Sure.
So,
Let's hear it.
Let me set the scene. My fiance and I, we have, like, the AMC Movie Pass. It's, like, for both of us, it's $40 a month. We could see up to 3 movies a week. We love going to see movies. It's a great thing to do, like, when we have nothing else going on. So we go see a lot of movies. So we went to the movie theater to see Terminator Dark Fate the other day. I'm a Terminator guy. I was really fucking excited. James Cameron's name's attached to it again. I'm like, let's fucking go. It's got to be good if James Cameron's putting his name on it, or at least semi-decent. I can completely ignore Terminator 3 and on, which is great, and it just focused on the 2 good Terminator movies, the original Terminator and T2, which is one of the best action movies of all time. Anyways, so we get into the theater. And we're a popcorn and large drink person, so we have the popcorn bucket, everything like that. Yeah.
Share the old drinkola.
Yeah,
like
it's great. So we get there, we eat beforehand. So we're both like, you know what? Kind of full. We'll skip the popcorn. We got to get that big drink though. Get the big drink. We go to sit down in our seats. We get in just as like those pre-trailers are starting, like 5 minutes before the actual trailers do. Like, all right, perfect. And we're talking or whatever. Out of the corner of my eye, I catch something. That to me, I'm not a germaphobe, but there's certain things that people do that make me want to eat a revolver. And I mean that in a sense of like...
Yeah, let's not sugarcoat it.
No, that's not sugarcoated because it's so disgusting that I look over and I see this woman. You know how people put their feet up on the back of the seat? If nobody's sitting in front of you, some people put their feet up on the back of the seat. Cool, whatever. That doesn't bug me because sometimes I do it. Like, you just want to sprawl out. Nobody's in the theater, really. Fucking kick back, doggy dog. Let's relax. Let's get into this movie. But then I notice this motherfucker is not only wearing her shoes, she's not wearing her socks.
Oh, no.
Bare feet McGee out there. Just fucking... piggies up on there, like, grinding into the back of the chair, too.
Oh, no.
Then I'm like, I look at Mahali, and I was like, I might be sick. I honestly might be sick. Like, and this is, like, you could tell this person, like, rarely goes out into, like, civilization. They definitely were, like, loud during the movie. It's an older person, too. It's probably a woman in her, like, mid-60s. like, you could tell she never really, like, leaves her, like, secluded areas. Because she's kind of loud during the movie and, like, rambling and shit like that. I'm like, what the fuck? I later in the Molly, I was like, I might be sick, just a heads up. And she was like, all right, well. And it kept distracting me during the movie. I'm like, this is fucking, like, disgusting.
See these piggies hanging out there?
It's like, just fucking, like, I could just hear her, like, yeah, getting real nice, comfortable. Can't wait for Arnie to come on the tube. Gotta stretch out. Oh, man, this bunion's really killing me, Jesse. Ah, man, I can't. Oh, gotta take them shoes. You know what? Fuck it. It's our night out. We rarely do it. I'm fucking kicking the toe socks off, baby. Let's just go barefoot and buck wild in this theater. Theater 12 of the AMC Classic in Greensburg, PA, baby. Let's fucking go. So, the movie goes on. Great movie, by the way. If you're a Terminator fan, action movie fan, definitely recommend it. It was surprisingly very good. It only gets better. We go to leave the theater. All right?
Man.
We go to leave the theater. And I'll be quite honest. I'm known to toot the ass horn every now and then. You know, I'm known to strike up the band at times, you know. We're going to leave the movie theater. We push open the door. We get the foulest stench in the world that I've ever smelled. And I mean, it was like, I can't try. Molly looked at me and she was like, was that you? And I'm like, oh my God, no. Like, cause I'll be honest, I'll let people know when I do it. Like, if I'm with her, I'll be like, I'll make a whole, like, fucking dog and pony show about it. I'll be like, da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'll do a little, like, jig with it. Like, I'll do something with it where I'll be like, ready, aim, fire! Like, I'll do stupid shit like that. Or I'll, like, pretend to stretch.
Just, like, do a squat.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, I would let you know if I did it. You would know. I'd do, like, some little jig with it. I see these two fucking jagaloons running towards the fucking bathroom. Like, I swear, the stench, they probably are like, oh shit, man, we shouldn't have stopped at Sheets. I shouldn't have got them dozen deviled eggs, man. Oh, Cletus, oh, we shouldn't have had that cabbage stew from 3 nights ago for leftovers. Oh. Like, it smelled like somebody just put, if Lysol came out with a new spray and it was like anal cavity, that's probably what it would smell like, with a hint of like 10 cups of coffee causing it.
God.
So it was a rough night at the movie theater. Dare I say, it was the dark fate of the
While
night.
it's story time at the movie theater, I want to share one.
Okay, go ahead. No, fuck it. This is our podcast. Fuck it.
So the last movie that I saw was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I thought I was like Billy Badass, you know, like I went to Chick-fil-A before, got an extra 8-count nugget, snuck it in the theater, thought I was being hot
yeah,
shit, you know what I mean?
Hell
thought
yeah.
I was the coolest dude ever, you know? I'm like, yeah, I snuck in the
Fucking pulled one over on those motherfuckers.
I got AMC, baby. So like meanwhile, like halfway through the movie, I bust that bad boy open. I get the Chick-fil-A sauce opened up and I start dipping them and I'm just mashing these chicken nuggets, right?
Hell yeah.
And this, like, these people that were near us, they were like, it was like a younger couple. And then there were like 2 girls up behind us. They were like laughing at the fact that I was just pounding Chick-fil-A. So I'm like, yeah, like I'm the shit basically, whatever. No big deal, dude. Turns out that like we go to leave the theater. Okay. And there were these younger kids, and this kid was probably not old enough to drink. I would be shocked if this kid was old enough to drink. There is a 6-pack of Twisted Teas empty sitting at his feet.
Oh my God.
I was like, holy shit. But yeah, I mean, it was just the most absurd thing that I had seen in my life as far as like movie theaters and what the goings on. If
like,
you will.
where did they put that? Like
the kid had
the middle of
sweatpants
summer
on and a hoodie, and it's the middle of summer.
It's probably
and I'm
July.
like,
It's July at this point when that movie came out. You know, so he's probably just like, how am I gonna get this in? I'm just gonna put it under my shirt and like walk like I'm fucking Quasimodo in there, just
She looked like she had a damn
they're
beach
probably like,
ball on her back.
Yeah, oh my gosh, this poor soul. Let me get the door for you. Thank you. When really he's just like, let's get it, boy.
Like the most absurd thing I'd ever seen in my life.
There's just so many fucking just psychopaths in the world. I mean, there really are. That's my favorite word. That's my favorite word to describe these people, because these lunatic tendencies, how do they believe that it's just like, yep, that's socially acceptable. I'm 14. I'm going to bring a 6-pack of Twisted Tea into a movie theater. You know, it's just a Tuesday night. Let's go. You know? Anyways, though, you're not here to listen to that. No, you're here to listen to some video game talk. Before we get into our show, a little bit of housekeeping. It is our free game giveaway. Do you like free games? Of course you do. Which means we can help you out with that. So, let us. We're giving away a brand new free game of your choice on any console to one lucky listener. And all you have to do is the following. Follow us on Twitter at GPGC Podcast. Retweet the pin tweet on our profile. And make sure you're listening to the show to know if you've won. That's it. Once we hit that goal that we have at 1,000 followers, we'll pull a winner and get someone squared away with the game, which is coming up fast. We're almost at the halfway mark, so it's been pumping pretty good. We've had a lot of new listeners come by. It's been great. So head on over to @GPGC Podcast today and enter. Guys, let's hit a little couple news articles before we head into our main topic of the show. First one coming up here, BioWare hints at Dragon Age 4 tease in December. This comes by Joseph Knopp via IGN. He's a Kind of Funny best friend. Shout out to him. I've seen him on Kind of Funny Games Daily. He's great, so definitely make sure you go over there. Links, as always, will be in the description of the show wherever you get it. Go over there, give Joseph a click, a like, or a link, whatever. You know what the fuck I'm saying. He says, in a tweet posted Sunday, BioWare hinted at a possible Dragon Age 4 tease for later in December. Quote, "Today marks 10 years of Dragon Age," BioWare tweeted. "This year, we're excited to join the community's party on December 4th and celebrate a decade together in a world we all loved. See you on 12/4 for Dragon Age, only the A is a 4, day. Even if this ends up being some sort of announcement or teaser for Dragon Age 4, don't expect to see the actual game for a while." Nyko Partners analyst Daniel Ahmad reported on Twitter in late October that EA did not expect Dragon Age 4 to release until at least after March 2022. That's a fucking long time. Dragon Age 4 was reportedly rebooted in 2017 and influenced by a canceled Dragon Age game. A report from Kotaku previously indicated that Dragon Age 4 may be built on the same code as EA and BioWare's Anthem, with its main story built as a single-player experience, but with multiplayer features added in to keep players coming back later on, though those expectations may change multiple times before release. We first saw Dragon Age 4 teased at the 2018 Game Awards in a trailer that hinted at the involvement of a character known as the Dreadwolf. So, first and foremost, do you guys have any connection with Dragon Age?
No, I've never really played it, to be honest.
I don't actually.
See, this is one series that has always been like, it's always caught my eye. One, I love BioWare. I mean, recently, the past couple, games they put out, Andromeda, obviously Anthem, with all the turmoil surrounding that, have been subpar to say the least. But they've always been, to me, mastercrafts of storytelling and RPG mechanics, like being able to intertwine those and tell a story and present a game in a very digestible and not apprehensive way, in terms of you don't feel overwhelmed just stepping into it. Like Mass Effect is very much pick up and play. You could do that easily. It's very approachable. That's the word I was looking for. But it's always one of those game series that has been in the corner of my eye that I'm like, I really need to check that out. Like, I bought Dragon Age Origins, the game that they're citing as their first one. I bought that on PC maybe like a year ago for like $4, and I was like, I need to get into this eventually. But it's also one of those games that I'd probably rather like sit on my couch and play, especially if it came on like, I would love to see them put some kind of Dragon Age collection on Switch or something like that, just because they're huge scale RPG games that I could kind of pick up and play wherever. I tend to finish games like that a little bit better. But yeah, it's always one of those franchises that I've always been interested in, because I love the European fantasy style, high fantasy. Like, I love that setting, and BioWare is just great when it comes to their writing and whatnot. But my big question is then, on top of that, since we all don't have necessarily this deep connection with the series, we all do have a connection, at least somewhat, to BioWare. So more importantly, do you think this release is the one that kind of turns their current trajectory around with BioWare? Or do you think this will kind of be strike three after like I said, the two underwhelming previous releases in Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem kind of stuck out. Do you guys think this will kind of turn the tide? Or has the potential to?
I guess. I don't know. I'm not a like diehard fan or like a super in the know fan of the Dragon Age series. So
Right.
I would have to definitely be a little more educated on the whole situation in order to give you like an educated guess. But then again, like you can only swing and miss so many times.
Right.
So, I mean, I think everything does hang in the balance, regardless of if you're a fan of Dragon Age or not. You're kind of gonna have your eye towards BioWare to see what they do with this game, to see if like they're gonna gain anybody's trust back at all.
Right.
And I think that's just everyone as a gamer who either enjoyed Mass Effect at one point in time in their life or has played one of their games and enjoyed it thoroughly. I think that's something that everyone kind of has to think about when they're seeing this company continue to make games. And I definitely think everyone's going to have like a magnifying glass over this game just to see, like, even if I'm not a Dragon Age fan, but it gets really good reviews, people who play it really enjoy it. I can watch streams of it. Seems like it's a good game. I'll start to believe in them a little bit again. But in like, I'm sure a Mass Effect game will come following it, as long as they don't get closed down as a studio if this game's a total disaster.
I have a feeling that that'll never happen. I don't never say never, but I think that's still one of those studios that holds so much weight in the industry that it's almost like like an Obsidian almost, but at a much higher level in terms of their financial backing. Well, now Obsidian has Microsoft money, so I may hold my tongue at that. But long term, I mean, for the past, they've been BioWare's been with EA since really the launch of Mass Effect. Now, like right after that, they signed. EA ended up signing them, so they've been with them for 10 years. They have 10 years of EA money. Like, I just fully can never see, especially with a studio that has multiple teams and multiple studios within the BioWare division, I have a hard time seeing it go away. But I'm kind of with you that in the sense of, it'll have some, I'll kind of start gaining some trust again for them, because it's almost like Bethesda in a way. Like, but not, I have much more of a pull for Bethesda that, like, when they are going to, pretty soon, you would at least think with next-gen consoles being basically announced, but they're full-on, like, dog and pony show that they pull out the press conference solely for them and reveal everything. You actually see the physical box. I mean, that's coming up fast. I mean, we're looking at probably February at the latest. I think we see that March, maybe. But you got to think that with Bethesda, we'll see Starfield soon with that, because that's a next-gen project that's coming first before Elder Scrolls 6. But when I see those titles, I'm going to be excited for them. When BioWare puts something out and puts their name on it, I still do get excited, because I did love Mass Effect at one point. I never had a deep connection like I did with the Elder Scrolls or even a Fallout game, but I still had a great time with that series, and I know that there's good stuff there. I know that the writing's there. The only thing that does scare me is some of their bigger names within their studios have been leaving because of the Anthem project. At least that's what it looks like, the ones who have been associated with that. But at the same time, we've also talked about, hey, jobs open up, good opportunities come for people, and it doesn't always have to be, fire and brimstone because of it. It could be, hey, this is just a good opportunity that arose. After 10 years, I'm going to leave, my 10 years here. I'm going to leave. I want to try something new. I want to move on from this environment and, freshen up the scene. But Adam, what do you think, man? What's your call on there? Because I know you're a BioWare fan to an extent.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think this will be their chance to kind of go back to something that's more familiar territory. After Anthem had a rocky start, it might be more comfortable for them to go back to kind of the lore and this kind of game that's more narratively driven. And I've never played the game, so I don't know if there's a whole lot of focus on the mechanics, but from people who I've talked to that have played the game, it sounds like they're in it for the narrative.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, they have it like, I know BioWare has set up for Dragon Age, and you could still do it to this day on all their titles. And I mean, god, their last title, Dragon Age Inquisition, won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. I mean, it was a very well-received title in 2014, not that, I mean, well, 5 years ago, but at the same time, like, 5 years isn't tremendously long ago.
Right.
But you can, I mean, they're very heavy on the narrative you play all the way through their games, that they have their own dedicated site from BioWare. Like, it is BioWare stamps on it that keeps track of your story carried over from each game. I mean,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's sweet. Like, if you're really heavy into the actual role-playing narrative aspects of that, you can get balls deep into it, and you could follow your journey across hundreds and hundreds of hours on just one narrative path alone. It's crazy.
Right. I think with it being more in their wheelhouse and not this like kind of gunning for Destiny, Schluter games as a service type title, they're going to have the home field advantage, and they're going to be able to actually deliver on something that they're used to, provided, you know, all the staff is still there. And even if it's not as technically ambitious as Anthem was, it doesn't have to be, you know, not to say that there isn't technical work involved, but it's less the main thing on display.
No, absolutely. And just to kind of cap it, I just hope that in Joseph's article here, he kind of talked about it, that you could possibly see it set up like Anthem, with the main story being built as a single-player experiences, but there's multiplayer features that could be added onto it, or to kind of keep that player base to be almost that live service style game. I just hope they don't lean too much into it, because that's kind of what bit Anthem in the ass, where the player base felt very shortchanged with a lot of stuff. That's not what they go to for a BioWare game. They go for that single player, that deep narrative that's you can really only experience in a closed setting of yourself, or maybe co-op if it's designed that way. But
yeah,
you know, it's, to me, I think BioWare, I think single player experiences, and I think 99% of fans do as well. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, if you ask me. But hey, different strokes, different folks. Before we head into the topic, one just kind of capper news article. As you all, I'm sure, heard, I just didn't want to beat the dead horse again with Diablo 4, but it was announced at BlizzCon this last week. They got a sweet, sweet cinematic trailer. Definitely check that out. And a short gameplay trailer. But this comes from Adam Bankhurst via IGN. Don't expect Diablo 4 too soon. So, following the long-awaited reveal of Diablo 4, Blizzard has given fans a few more details about the upcoming game, including that the wait for this next entry in the franchise that began in 1996 may be a long one. During BlizzCon's Diablo 4 Unveiled panel, game director Luis Barrega made sure to set expectations following Diablo 4 cinematic and gameplay reveal. Quote, "A game of this scope takes time," Barrega said. "This is a very, very early first step. We're not coming out soon, not even Blizzard soon." And obviously with Blizzard saying Blizzard soon, it's got to be a whiles away. So now that Blizzard finally revealed one of, like we always say, the worst kept secrets in gaming, being Diablo 4, what's your guys' temperature gauge on Diablo 4? Just real quick, hot, cold, on the small stuff that you've seen gameplay-wise.
I mean, it looks a lot like Diablo 3, right? So I don't know.
It's a little more, from what it sounds like, it's a little more open world styled with comparative to how Diablo's been, but it's very much, it seems like it's still at the heart of it a Diablo experience. They're not completely breaking the wheel or anything like that.
Yeah, that definitely seems like the general consensus about it, with what everyone's been saying about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't really hate the idea of something more open worldy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a situation where I don't know what they're gonna do with open world per se.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's just put it this way: if it's open worldy, like they're saying it's gonna be,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a lot of Diablo 2 flavor to it,
Mm-hmm.
I am extremely excited for the prospect of it. And it
Mm-hmm.
seems like a game that, you know, we can hop in as a friends group and really enjoy.
Yeah.
And in that case, I'm really excited. I'm a little concerned because it's Blizzard, and I'm a little concerned with where they're at as a company and what they're working on. And I just really am hopeful that Diablo 3 wasn't bad, and I'm not meaning to sound like it was bad, but I did prefer Diablo 2 greatly to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just hoping it's a little more like D2. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Adam, what are you thinking, man?
From the little bit that I have seen of it, I'm especially leery of kind of the MMO light type of features that they're bringing in.
Mhm.
I'm sure I could solo these like world bosses if I wanted to,
Mhm.
but it just doesn't seem like the experience is being designed around that core classic Diablo hack and slash experience. And on one hand, I feel like some of the steps they're taking is to go back to the classic style, to apologize for D3 and approach things because they're bringing back classic villains.
Mhm.
So it seems like they are trying to take it in that direction, but at the same time, it seems like their priorities are split and they're not really sure like what the right direction is. So I'm much more cautious about this one. I'll definitely be doing a lot more research before I make a decision on whether to play it.
I agree. I'm kind of in the same camp, but I'm a little more warmer than you, I would think. Like Mike was saying, it definitely, I mean, God, they showed when they're up on stage, they're having the Lord of Destruction box art right on stage showing you, like, saying, yes, we know how much our hardcore fans love Diablo 2. We're taking inspiration from this, going more of a back to our roots, while also, at the heart of it, keeping it traditional Diablo and more than what we've seen before. But at the same time, we do want to not completely annex ourselves behind only that. We want to add more, options to it, like you're saying, an MMO light almost, it seems like. But it was kind of cool at the same time seeing how many players that you're able to, if you're able to do, 8-player parties or something like that, comparative to the smaller parties that Diablo traditionally sees. It would be cool to not have to worry about, I have 5 friends who play it and only like 2 of us can go at a time or whatever, So
Right.
on that end, it is cool. I'm excited, but cautiously optimistic, I guess I would say. But guys, I think it's time we head into the bulk main topic of our show. And when I was kind of sitting down thinking about the topic that I wanted to cover for this week, or the main kind of jux of what's going on, I saw an article pop up. And this comes from Polygon. It's the top 100 games of the 2010s. And I didn't even, to be honest, I wasn't really even thinking about it. I'm like, 2010s, I'm like, oh, we got to watch. Oh no, 2020 is literally 2 months away. So just kind of going through, like looking at some of these, it was really, really interesting that I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's take a look at what we're going to do is we're going to go pretty much in sets of 10, starting from 100, break it down to 1. And what we're going to do on their list is we're going to go through, and I want each of you guys to pick one game from that list, and that set, I guess, of the list, that you think deserves to be on that list, that, like, I'll go to bat for that game. That game needs to be on this list. And then I want you to remove one as well. Now, the ones that are kind of floating in between, we could decide at the end what we want to do with those or whatnot. But more or less, I want you to axe one, and I want you to defend one. But you could also pick, like, if there's one game on this list that I'm like, boom, I gotta pick that game, and Mike wants to do that game too, we can do that. That's fine. The list doesn't have to be, this isn't going to be on our end. It's not going to be like, this is the number 1 game of all time. It's just, these are like the 30, whatever it ends up being, the 30 games that we pick that we need to have these, or these games are the 30 best or whatever, in no particular order.
Sure. Yeah,
so,
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, so, and we could pick those games, like I said, we could all pick one game from there, or we could all axe just one game, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But then at the end, too, you could pick up to, I want you guys to, at most, present up to 3 games that aren't on this list that you think should be on this list, that, are kind of out of nowhere. And it doesn't matter. We could have multiple of the same franchise. I'm not really worried about that, because if a game's good, it's good. It doesn't matter if, Zelda pops up on here 3 times. It's probably because it deserves to be on there 3 times to me. You know what I mean? Like, if that's just how it works out, that's just how it works out. And that's no shorting any other game. But so main jux of this, as we're going through each bracket of 10, I want you to pick one game. I'll list the games first in that bracket. Then I want you to pick one game that you want, and then after that, we'll go through and pick one that we need to axe. Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds really good to me.
All right, let's start with 100 through 91. So, we got Virginia, Life is Strange, Slay the Spire, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Super Mario Maker, the first one, Cuphead, What Remains of Edith Finch, Total War 3 Kingdoms, Device 6, and Telltale's The Walking Dead. And I'm guessing they're going to just do that, obviously, as the series as a whole, since there were multiple seasons. Adam, I'm going to start it off with you. What's your game that you would go to bat for on that list?
I think you know what my answer is here,
Yeah,
Travis. We've been talking about it for weeks. Obviously, it's Device 6. No, I haven't played Device 6. I've only played about half of these games, but
right. And
them...
let me clarify on that real quick. This is, like I said, this is the Game Pass Gamecast list, and obviously, not all these games are just going to be Xbox. You know, if we would do that, this generation would be since this generation's been really the majority of the 2010s, the list would be very short for the amount of Xbox, big hitters that they had this generation. Right. So this is an overarching, but at the same time, this is our list. So we haven't always played all of these games. So some of these games may be great, but we don't have necessarily personal experience with them. So these will be our games that we've played. Anyways, Adam, go ahead.
Definitely Fire Emblem 3 Houses for me out of this grouping. That's the one that I'm going to go to bat for and say, this deserves to be here. In fact, I think it deserves to be higher personally. Mm-hmm. But it took the tactical RPG formula of Fire Emblem that I really love, and it just brought something new to it. It made the grind more enjoyable because you actually get to train your units in the academy. Mm-hmm. You get to decide what their growth paths are going to be, and there's just this vast visual novel element to it where the story unfolds, and you get to kind of take part in shaping each character's arc, similar to how you would do in like Mass Effect or other games I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Like once you get a certain level of support with the character, you can unlock a mission that like gets them a legendary weapon or something like that, and you get a little bit more of their story. So it took everything that was good about Fire Emblem and it really just capitalized on all of it and brought in this new element of the instruction of training your students. Had a great story. The most interesting thing I will say about it is that in each of the routes that you can choose, depending on who you side with, I feel like some characters are shown in a good light, but then the character that you loved from the other route gets put in the worst light. Like your decisions bring out the worst in the people that you don't side with, and you can rescue the people who would have gone down the darkest paths by siding with them. So I thought that was a really cool part of the story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mike, what's one you're going to bat for?
So personally, admittedly, also, I'm not the most familiar like with most of the games on this list here. I mean, I do know of some of them. I think that I looked into Virginia a little bit and I, thought it was actually kind of a cool game because I was like completely unfamiliar with it. Right?
Oh, same here. I'm completely out of nowhere with this.
So the idea of it seems pretty cool. My biggest, I guess my game that I would definitely say deserves to be there. I think that most of them actually deserve to be there. Like Life is Strange is pretty special. Everyone that's ever played it has said really good things about it. Streamers that have played it seem to enjoy it a ton. Fire Emblem, Adam's obviously been all over it. Super Mario Maker special, Cuphead special. I guess my game that I would defend that it deserves to be there is probably Cuphead, just because of the uniqueness of it and the difficulty of it. I think the game that I would probably ixnay would be The Walking Dead, and I would rather them slate The Wolf Among Us in there instead of The Walking Dead for sure. Like, I don't have a problem with it being a Telltale game or a game of that nature. I have a problem with the one they chose, what they chose. But obviously, with Wolf Among Us only having one season, that might hurt it a little bit. But that's really not the game's fault. That's more the dev's fault.
That could always be one of those games that you bring up at the end, saying, "Hey, this should be there," and we'll vote on it, saying yes, no, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler. That's probably the game I'm going to try to bring up.
So you're axing Walking Dead, but you're keeping Cuphead. So Adam, actually, why don't you go ahead? What game do you think you'd axe from this list?
That's gonna be tough because I haven't played most of them. But if I had to go with one that I knew anything about,
Mhm.
it would probably be Slay the Spire.
Okay.
And that's just pure subjective taste. I don't think it would be my kind of game.
Mhm.
I tend to shy away from roguelikes, and I believe it's kind of a deck building roguelike.
Yes.
Just not really my cup of tea. And
Mhm.
I don't know enough about most of the other games. I think Total War is strategy.
Yes.
What Remains of Edith Finch is a quote unquote walking simulator, but that's the one I'm going to go with.
Yeah. On my end, I'm going to do kind of like what Mike was saying, but just because they're literally, I'm sure when they put this list together, I'm sure they had to choose, well, we're going to do one or the other. I'm going to take Super Mario Maker, but I'm going to do Super Mario Maker 2. That's going to be my game that I keep. Just because it does everything just as good as Super Mario Maker 1 did, only better with more options.
Just kind of expanded it. Sure.
Right, yeah, exactly. So it's obviously, to me, the most complete package out of the two. But that's, if you ask me, that's a game that's everlasting. I mean, that is literally, you're not buying a game, you're buying a platform for the most part. It's unlimited fun. You can create, design, download, share, all kinds of stuff with these levels that you have an infinite Mario game. And Mario really is the quote-unquote textbook video game that you give everyone that could just pick up and play it. It's very digestible, easy to understand. It covers a range of different different player types that are out there who would be interested in this. So to me, this is a no-brainer that's going on my list that we're going to keep. If I got to axe one, I really don't want to axe Life is Strange because I like that. Probably, if you ask me, I'd probably axe Total War just because, and all these games, obviously, if they're put on a list to this caliber, they got to be decent in some capacity. They got to be good to somebody. But for me, this is our list. I like strategy games. I like RTSs, but they have to be certain RTSs. Like, I like AoE. I like StarCraft. I like traditional Warcraft. But those games speak to me in a different way than a game like Total War comparative from what I've seen of it and what little I've played of Total War games. They just don't speak to me in those ways that
Sure.
StarCraft and Warcraft are very much non-realistic, I guess, RTSs where they're future-based and also high fantasy, and you give me anything high fantasy to an extent, I'm going to really like it. But Total War 3 Kingdoms, it just felt a little too much emphasis on the real. I like kind of the almost campiness of StarCraft, Warcraft. So that's going to be mine I keep. Rolling into the 90 to 81 range here. We got Resident Evil 7. Feel like that's going to be a hot one. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, Monster Hunter World, Control, Kim Kardashian Hollywood, FTL, Faster Than Light, Flappy Bird, Papers, Please, XCOM 2, War of the Chosen, and Oxenfree. Alright, we're going to start it with Mike this time. Mike, what game are you keeping on this list, and what game are you axing?
Oh my god. This is another one where I feel like there's definitely more than one here that deserves to stay.
Oh my god, yeah.
This list, like, I'm just gonna go
now
ahead
keep
and
in mind
the
that too, like we said, we could take games at the end. We could take games from outside this pool, but you could also take games from this pool. If you think they deserve to be in there at the end, you could bring them back.
Sure, I'm just going to end the redundancy because I'm sure the viewers or listeners are going to get sick of hearing me say that about all of these things. So just so everyone knows, I've read through this list kind of actually pretty extensively.
Yes.
Because I was really interested in it, and I'm pretty familiar with the list. So I will just go out on a limb. I feel like there's probably going to be me and Travis will probably side on the same game here, but I think RE7, I think it should be bumped up. That's probably, where we're looking at that way, but I definitely think it should be in the list for sure.
Oh,
if all else failed, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What game do you think you're axing? I have a feeling I know, but
I am gonna go ahead and axe the Kim Kardashian game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Flappy Bird's close just because it was so niche and it was only on like iOS back in the day.
Dude, remember whenever phones were going on eBay for thousands of dollars because they had Flappy Bird still installed on them?
Yeah, bro. Like, that's crazy to me. But I'm definitely going to axe the Kim Kardashian game, and I don't think that'll be a surprise to anybody.
No, definitely. Adam, what are you cooking with?
I am going to axe the Flappy Bird, and
Ooh.
that was what I was eyeing up originally, because it was just kind of a fad game. It didn't really do anything to like push games as a whole.
Uh-huh.
But
And Kim Kardashian's Hollywood did.
I don't know what it did. Apparently Polygon thought it was of some
I'm sure
repute.
I'm sure the game was like built with certain mechanics that were from like a popular good game. They just skinned it with Kim Kardashian. But
Maybe
at the same time, I don't judge books by their cover. I just can't imagine me being like, you know what? I'm going to invest in the world of Kim Kardashian. Hollywood style. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
and that's
I
no
think that's
offense to the
fair.
people who made that game, because I'm sure there's somebody who's trying to break into the games industry with their first dev job saying, fuck, I'll do whatever, you know, and
Right.
okay, you're gonna work on Kim Kardashian Hollywood, the mobile game, you know, so but Adam, what game you keeping, man? What are you keeping?
For this one, I am going to keep Papers, Please.
Papers,
That game
Please.
basically pioneered the genre, and there's not many other representatives in it, but it's kind of just like,
Tell me
No, it's
about
like-
Papers, Please.
Yeah,
like, fill me
talk
in
to
on
me
this.
about it. I'm unfamiliar.
it's like Paperwork the game, and it has a pretty biting political commentary about like doing your job as a government servant, but your government is authoritarian. Essentially, you are a border guard who has to check people's passports and other documents as they cross the border. And over time, the regulations about who can enter get stricter and stricter. So in one part, it's kind of like almost like a memory match game where you have to remember what the rules are
Mhm.
and look for discrepancies in people's documents while trying to process as many as you can in a day, because you get paid based on how many people you process per day,
Mhm.
and you have a family to feed. You can choose not to pay for heat or food for one of your family members for that day, and they can die.
Mhm.
And there's not really much else to it besides that. I don't know if there are I know there are a bunch of different endings. I'm pretty sure your endings depend on your decisions and how well you do.
Mhm.
And as the rules escalate, there's also this like conflict going on in the background. You'll be approached by people who are like obviously trying to get into the country to flee persecution. You'll be approached by people who are like suspected terrorists, and even though their documents are good, you might have to like decline them or detain them or whatever. And I think eventually you kind of get like offered to join this conspiracy as well. So it's very interesting. It's
Mhm.
made by Lucas Pope. He also made the Oberdin this year,
Yeah.
or last year, I forget. But so he's kind of been prolific since Papers, Please. That was the one where I learned his name.
Nice. I'll have to actually check that out. That sounds interesting. It sounds like it almost feels like one of those games that it just scratches a certain itch, but once it does, like once you know you have that itch, you need to have it then scratched. Like you're not
Right.
gonna know you want that itch scratched until you get that itch. And
The only other game I can think of that is in the same genre of Papers, Please is called Not Tonight,
Mhm.
and you play as like a freelance bouncer who like you work on like this gig economy app to
Mhm.
do bouncer jobs in a post-Brexit UK.
Oh wow.
And like you have to check people's IDs, and I think their nationalities stretching back 2 generations
Mhm.
can mean that they're not like first-class citizens or something like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. This is a little bit tougher than I thought. I agree with Mike on RE7. Definitely, I think that's one of the best horror games to come out in quite a while. And really was one of the games that you look at a franchise and say this is a step forward. This is a fresh step forward, and this is a deserved step forward, taking that franchise in such a new way and really adapting with the times of what was in, but not in the sense of overdoing it in a way like, oh, like the battle royale fad. It's not a fad. It's just this is how horror games speak to people right now, and it was really refreshing. So I'm glad we got that on there, because that's one I definitely would fight for. But another one that I'm going to put on there, I'm going to go to bat for Monster Hunter World. I think that game is so unique in the sense of it took this very niche franchise to the West that was very much stuck on handhelds, was very much, I think the last console version of that franchise was Wii, but even with the Wii, a ton of people in the States didn't play it, if I remember correctly.
It was Try, right?
I believe so, yes. Before World, like many, I had little connection with Monster Hunter. I played it on PSP, I believe, was the last one I played. I did always want to try out the 3DS one because I heard nothing but great things about it, and I do like that the basis of the games, that pull that it has with the gameplay of going out there hunting monsters, looking for certain items that they'll drop that you can make certain equipment with that will buff these skills and do different things like that. Like, it's a really fun game of not, the story isn't the main pull of it. This is very much, you're buying into this game because of the gameplay and because of the mechanics that go along with it and the premise of that game loop that hooks you in. With Monster Hunter World, it really, really, really made it much more of a digestible and welcoming experience for so many people. It's Capcom's best-selling game of all time.
Wow.
It sold over 10 million copies for just that entry alone across all platforms, which is nuts. So, to me, that's the game that's going on there on my end. I'll go to bat for that game. I'm curious to see how I'll look at this game post Black Friday, because I'm definitely going to pick up Control on Black Friday. That's a game that I've really wanted to play because I like Remedy. I like the weirdness that they bring to the table. So I'd like to revisit this list, at least in terms of me looking at it again, being like, maybe Control will come on there, because I've heard nothing but good things in terms of what I like with games, in terms of Control. So I'm curious to see how that goes. Game that I would axe, once again, kind of going, no, because I've played XCOM games, and I like XCOM games because I also like Mario plus Rabbids, which is very XCOM-y. It's gonna be a shitty answer. I can't axe Flappy Bird because we use that game to make a drinking game in college, which
yeah, that's right.
How many, man, did that get you? Woo!
That worked really well.
You get 3 tries at it, and the highest number that you get on your score of how many, tubes that you were able to navigate through was how many seconds each person had to drink. So it definitely worked a little magic. So I'm gonna ask Kim Kardashian too. No hate to the Kim Kardashian dev team, but I'm just gonna pass on that one. So
yeah, I don't think it's a thing where we're hating on the dev team. I think it's just more of what it is.
Right, exactly. So moving on to the next one, 80 to 71. We got Tiger Woods PGA Tour 13, Animal Crossing New Leaf, The Stanley Parable, Gorogora. What is that? Goragora?
Gorogoa, I think.
Gorogoa. Fuck me, I guess. Gravity Rush 2, Beat Saber, 2 Dots, Mario Kart 8, Mass Effect 2, and Warframe. Adam, spit me the truth,
right,
man. What's up?
For me, I've only played a little bit of it, but for me, I think the most significant game in this bunch is Beat Saber. Mm-hmm. And I say that because I think it is the only game that has sold me on VR as a viable platform.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're picking this one, right?
Yes, this is my game.
I'm really glad you are, because I really want to pick that one, but I think I'm going to go another direction. But I'm really glad you did pick that, because that game is fucking awesome. And it is one of those staple VR titles that whenever you show somebody VR, you need to say, check this one out. Like, this is a VR experience that isn't earth-shattering in terms of, wow, I'm in Skyrim, but this is what the power of VR could be to everyone, almost this is the power of video games with the Wii at the time.
I'm going to liken this to another game that I think is not like the very best and most enjoyable, but I think it is, in a sense, perfect for what it is. Mm-hmm. I believe Tetris is the perfect video game because it couldn't be a physical, you couldn't play Tetris on tabletop. It couldn't be any other kind of experience. Mm-hmm. And it's so tight and concise. Mm-hmm. And basically anyone can play it at any skill level for any amount of time, and there's endless variation and other stuff you can do to it. Tetris is almost like this perfect, like, platonic ideal of a video game. And I think Beat Saber is that, but for VR.
I agree. I definitely am not going to disagree with you on that. I think you really hit the nail on the head. I can't say any other great things about it because you took the words out of my mouth. So, what's one you're going to axe, my man?
For this one, I think I'm going to axe Warframe because I did give that game a try and I just kind of bounced off of it. It seemed interesting. It was recommended to me by a friend, but I just couldn't really get into it. Among all the other games here, I think they mostly deserve to be here if I've played them. I liked Mass Effect 2. I liked the Stanley Parable. What else have I played on here? I like Mario Kart, inoffensive to me. But Warframe, I don't know. I just kind of bounced off of that one.
It's weird. We literally... if you picked something else that was on my list of, man, I would go to bat for this. I was going to pick Beat Saber. If you picked one of those other ones, that was my next one up. And the one I was going to axe was going to be Warframe. Just because I think... So
it goes.
Yeah, I just think it does so many things right and so many things good, but I think there's just so many better options out there for that almost similar experience of that connected world. Not like looter shooter, but it's about the grind. It's almost that Destiny-esque feel of your gameplay loop is the grind. You're grinding for items, you're grinding for things, like replaying a lot of missions, different things like that. It's great for those who like it. I'm glad it exists and gives that other option away from the big name titles. But I think it's almost a jack of all trades but a master of none in a way. So, Mike, let me hear it, man. What game are you gonna die on a hill for out of these ones?
So I had to look up, and I remember now. I'm a little surprised that Tiger 13 got in here.
So was I.
I'm not really sure why. I know Tiger 12 was cool because it was the first game that had Augusta. I remember. Was
13 the one with Ricky Fowler on the front?
Yeah, it was Ricky Fowler and Tiger on the front.
Yes.
And I don't know that it stood out enough that it would be like the only sports game to make this list, basically. But it's there. I guess if I'm picking one, I probably go Mass Effect 2 as a keep.
Okay.
And if I'm going to axe one, I mean, it's between Animal Crossing and Tiger Woods, but I'll give Tiger Woods 13 the axe.
Wow, Tiger 13, man. I liked 12 a lot. I remember playing 12 a lot because of Augusta.
I remember as soon as I got out of school, as soon as we got done with school that day, I remember we went to GameStop. I went to GameStop and got it immediately just because it had Augusta National and first time you could play in the Masters and yada yada, and it was really cool. So, but yeah, I'm gonna axe Tiger 13 for sure.
Yeah, you're a big golfer, so that that does hit a lot of beats for you in terms of, like you were saying, with 13 or with 12. I mean,
absolutely.
But I agree. I remember playing 13 and it not necessarily sticking with me as much as 12.
The only thing I can think of, which is something I didn't partake in very much, but this is my only defense / thought process with it, is maybe the online tournament situation with that game. That might have been the one that you could post an online tournament for 48 hours and people could just play around there and then the best score would win. You didn't have to do it live. You could just post it and then everybody could play in it that was online, and then whoever had the best score would win it. And it you could play at 4 a.m. You didn't have to be online simultaneously. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so that's a thought process that might have been the game that was happening on. But yeah, I mean, I'm not that high on it, but I mean, that's a really cool feature. But yeah, I don't think it is the best sports game, and it should be on there over any other sports game out there. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. On my end, see, I want to save Animal Crossing New Leaf. I've only played that in passing in terms of tried it on somebody else's 3DS, and it was one of those games that I always wanted to because I like that. I like the Animal Crossing franchise for what it does in terms of almost that Stardew Valley pool of the Harvest Moon in a way. Like it's like a town sim, but also like you're worrying about building your house and doing different things around it. Like it's really cool. It's almost like a life sim in a way, but in such a quote unquote cute way. With the aesthetic, but in any Nintendo game out there has the polish and quality that goes along with it. But if I gotta die on a hill for one of the games that are left now, man, and I was gonna do Mass Effect 2, but I can't leave Mario Kart 8 sitting out there. I mean, it's the best. If you ask me, granted, I have issues with Mario Kart in terms of I call it communist card at times because it's very much like, oh, nobody lose, everybody win. Like, you're in last, you can still win. Like, here's the blue shell. And, like, it doesn't necessarily, like, Mario Kart has never rewarded skill to an extent.
I think the same goes for Mario Party while we're at it.
Very much true. Yes, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. With, you know, oh, you lost the most mini games or you lost the most coins, here's a star. Like, okay. Like, cool, I guess. So, I've always had an issue with that, but Mario Kart's like the ultimate, I put it above Mario Party in terms of like one of the most ultimate like just party games in terms of like anyone could pick up a controller and play that game. It's so digestible. I've said that a few times about a couple of games, and maybe that's just because I look for that in games that are multiplayer, that if I'm doing couch co-op with anything, it has to be digestible for not just for me, because I could deal with, you know, a lot of games that have more detailed experiences like an RPG, like things of that nature. But if I'm playing with the other person, like usually it's my fiance or, you know, somebody necessarily who doesn't play as many games as I do, you know, they're looking for more of a pick up and play experience, and I'm more worried about them enjoying the experiences as well, because I could pick up and play most anything and find something to enjoy with it for the most part, with kind of the critical look I look at it with. But Mario Kart 8 is the best Mario Kart experience out there, just from all the tracks that it has across multiple Mario games, all the characters that you can get, all the different tweaking you could do to your vehicles and that, and that's been something in previous Mario games, but this one does it so well and so fine-tuned that it's just such a game that has stood the test of time, because it came out in, 2013, 14, and they just started porting it over to Nintendo Switch with the deluxe version with even more content, that it doesn't look like they're going to be making Mario Kart 9 anytime soon. So, like, it's just a game that is really the complete package, almost like a Smash Brothers Ultimate package. So I have a hard time passing up on that. I gotta die on the hill for that one. One that I'm gonna axe, probably Gravity Rush 2.
You gonna axe it a question?
I am gonna axe it a question. It's just because of the style of game that it is doesn't necessarily speak to me, and I believe that is only a PS Vita game, and even though I was saying I'm like one of the only people who has turned on a PS Vita in the past like 5 years. Oh no, it is on PS4. It did come to PS4. I thought it was only on Vita for some reason. But it's just not necessarily my style of game with the action that it does. It's and nothing wrong with the art style either, but like I usually don't tend to jump into a lot of like anime-esque style games. Really, I would say Breath of the Wild is the one that kind of broke that mold for me, because it is very much an anime art style with it in a traditional like low poly almost way. But I'm gonna axe that one. I'm gonna put that one on the back burner. I don't think it necessarily needs to be on our list. So heading into 70 to 61 here, we got Diablo 3, The Witness, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Universal Paperclips, Doki Doki Literature Club, GTA Online, Johann Sebastian Joust, the Jackbox Party Pack 1 through 6, so basically like the Jackbox Party Pack games, Super Street Fighter 4, and Frog Fractions. Mike, I think this one's going to be a little more divisive than I'm thinking, but what game are you keeping, man?
I'll take Diablo 3 on this one.
Okay.
Even though it was a disappointment on launch night with all the errors that it had, but every game seems to be anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, you know, it's had its problems or it had its deficiencies upon release, and it kind of had a lack of replayability, if we're being honest, because the items were super rare, and they had the real money auction house that was basically funded and supported because they had these rare ass items that you couldn't really get, and the only way you could get them is by paying for them. But I mean, the updates that they have come out with recently, and like us recently going back to the game, I have had a lot of fun with it, and I would actually like to like launch it up again here pretty soon and play it again. So I would say Diablo 3 is pretty fair.
I mean, I definitely got the itch watching that Diablo 4 trailer. I was like, am I about to like fucking go and buy it on PS4 so Molly and I could play it? Because that is a game that like is great for couch co-op. Like, outside of,
sure.
I've only really played through it, like, I've only played through it and beaten it on PC, but it's one of those games that I know she could easily, like, pick that up and play with it. It's not something that's going to be such an overbearing experience for her to, you know, try to get in on, but it's just, from what I hear, the couch co-op version of that game is just unbelievably great. I mean, it's so polished, so well done, especially even on, like, a console like the Switch. It translates just so well.
Sure. Yeah, and this is a game that, you know, like you said, cross-platform, not like cross-platform play, but it was released on multiple platforms. That
Cross-generational, too.
Yeah, so all things considered, you know, it's a pretty nice game that you can play, sit there, play some couch co-op with people if you wish, which is an enjoyable part for a lot of people. But this is where making the cuts begins to
gets a little tougher, man.
Yeah, it becomes increasingly difficult for me to start like making my cuts on what I think should be cut out. And I mean, all these games are relatively enjoyable. I have a friend from the old school Halo days that I watched stream the Doki Doki Literature Club, and it looked very enjoyable, and it looked like a really good time, and you know, it was pretty cool. I don't know. My cut goes to GTA Online. I have played about 16 to 20 hours of GTA Online. And I think, I mean, I don't know because I've played it recently, so it's probably a situation where the game has changed or digressed because it's probably become easier and easier to hack the game. But hackers can like crash full lobbies and everything. And it just isn't a lot of fun when things of that nature are happening. Yeah. So I'm going to axe GTA Online.
Gotcha. Adam, talk to me. What are you thinking? What are you taking and what are you leaving?
For this one, I would like to... I gotta keep Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain.
There you go.
I've said it before, maybe on this show, I can't remember, but I believe it is the best stealth action game, period.
Full stop.
Like, apropos of nothing when it comes to the story, because I have never really played enough Metal Gear Solid games to kind of understand the story. It doesn't matter in Metal Gear Solid 5. It's a prequel, and you're kind of like you're kind of participating outside of the main story anyway. It's very self-contained. And just the moment-to-moment action, the way you can approach problems so many different ways, and just like the game feels serious. Like it acts kind of self-serious at times, but there are parts to it where you can tell it's just very lighthearted and kind of actually doesn't take itself that seriously. It has a lot to do with like the snappiness of the animations and just some of the ridiculous shit you can get up to.
Oh my god. Like, I love just like that game is the definition of being able to make someone fall for the old banana in the tailpipe 24/7.
Exactly.
Like, you could just loop-de-loop and pull everyone. Like, it's just so great. I love it. Like, the game, that is such a... And that's what's always been so divisive about it, I think, was because hardcore Kojima and Metal Gear fans were always, oh my god, it's so hard to hate this game because we can't stand that the story is such a jumbled mess at this point that is really incomplete, because a lot of, from what I've heard, Kojima needed a little more time for this thing to be in the oven on the story side, but Konami kind of had to push it out, and I think that was really what started to cause the rift between him and Konami after so many years. But people are like, it's the best. If you think of when people are saying, you know, at gaming at this point, what's the best to offer when it comes to gameplay? Just full stop. A lot of people are saying this is the textbook example of you want to do great gameplay, play this game. Like, full stop. Play this game. The mechanics are tight. The options that you are able to be, or that are presented to the player are, I mean, bar none. You close your eyes, throw a dart at a dartboard, you could do it. I mean, like, in terms of the options that you have, pick anything, you could probably do that in that game. In terms of approaching situations and whatnot, it's just crazy that, you know, we're probably, well, I don't want to say we'll never see another new Metal Gear, because never say never when it comes to gaming, but it's just crazy that we'll probably never see another Hideo Kojima Metal Gear game, especially leaving on such a high note like that.
Right.
So what are you axing on this list?
For this one, I'm going to be axing The Witness. So this is a Jonathan Blow puzzle game that I completely found impenetrable.
Really? I've heard, like, amazing things about this. Even, like, thinking not too long ago, I'm like, I saw it pop up on, maybe it was, is it on Steam? I feel like
it is on Steam.
Okay, maybe that's where I saw it. It might actually be on Xbox Game Pass. Maybe that's where I saw it. But I saw it on either Steam or Xbox Game Pass, and I was like, I've heard a lot of good things about this. It was one of those, like, I'm going to keep that in mind when a Steam sale comes along. Like, maybe I'll pick it up.
Yeah. So, to me, line puzzles did not carry me all the way through so that I could experience some of the better things the game had to offer.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched, like, in-depth breakdown videos of, like, everything that's in the game, and it has, like, one or two interesting twists that I feel like I might have appreciated, but I just could not, like, I don't know. I didn't want to sit and solve puzzles of, like, basically the same variety. They're constantly building in complexity, but the game doesn't really guide you down explicit paths so that you learn things in the correct order. It's more like you have to organically wander around and figure out what you don't, like, what you know you can't solve yet, so that you can come back to it later once you know you've learned the rules that govern those puzzles.
That seems a little frustrating.
It was for me a little bit. And I can understand, like, for some people, maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want something where you can organically wander around and find out. I've talked about this with RPGs before, like in Morrowind and stuff like that. Like, there are areas you can go that you cannot solve or beat yet. And in an action-adventure game, in an RPG, that might be fun. For me, in a puzzle game, it wasn't. I just found it to be overly pretentious. So that's the one I'm axing for now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm going to have to say and this one's kind of tough, because part of me really wants to pick the Jackbox party games, because they're so, literally, it's the definition of approachability for games. I mean, you don't have to be a gamer to play. It's literally bringing, like, the feel of the sports bar trivia night to your house, and that, like, oh, you can make up a, you know, underlying sexual name for your team, and, like,
exactly,
like, it's that feeling of connectivity, of just you and your buddies dicking around and having a good time. You know, you're at a party, you're at, like, a gathering of, like, significant others and stuff like that, and somebody's like, it's the digital version of almost like What Do You Meme or Cards Against Humanity. Like, it's that game that you could bring up and everyone could play. I really almost want to keep it, and I'm really on the cusp of keeping it. But since GTA Online was axed, GTA Online was picked just because they said it was, like, the best version of Grand Theft Auto in their article or something like that. It expands upon GTA 5. I'm going to pick GTA 5 with that. Only because, like, it's a technicality, I guess, but GTA 5 should be on this list. I mean, it's the game that
I see why they would have picked that, but yeah.
Like, it's the game that still to this day, every single month, it is on the top 10 MPD sales for, like, PlayStation, Xbox, every console. And this game came out in 2013. Like, the legs on this game are crazy. Largely because, admittedly, GTA Online. But it's a game that all gamers just know. It's that weight that franchise, it's the most successful gaming IP ever in terms of profitability, if I remember correctly. Like, the value of that IP is astronomical. It's like the most, I think it's the most, in terms of what it's worth, like, most expensive multimedia property or something like that. I think that's what it was. But and that was only like last year that popped up. But it's just crazy that this game is just if you ask me, we're going to be going into next gen. Like Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come. They are going to need that to come eventually. But like Red Dead hasn't found the same success that GTA did with GTA Online and the different story missions that they built into online that GTA 5 has. Like it's just crazy to me that this game just continuously is there, and it's continuously going to be there until we get into next gen, and it might be there because they might re-release it digitally only or something like that. It's just crazy, especially with how it is on PC, and you could do 4K texture packs and shit like that I'm sure we're gonna see carry over into the next gen. So it's crazy that game is just there and still exists. To me, one that I'm going to axe. It's probably going to be Super Street Fighter 4, just because I'm not the biggest fighting game fan. Like, I probably wouldn't put a fighting game on my top games, just because that's me and that's not my style with it. I respect what they've done, but I just probably wouldn't put a fighting game. Maybe Mortal Kombat 10. I haven't played 11 yet. I've heard nothing but good things about the story with that, but I really enjoyed Mortal Kombat 10's story. I may put that on there, but I still probably wouldn't, just because I'm not a fighting game fan, and a lot of fighting games to me, I'm sure I'm going to sound really stupid saying this, but like, are kind of cookie cutter. A lot of them do the same things. To me, I'm not in the fighting game community. Much respect to them, because it takes so many years and months and whatnot to study that craft of those games that they play. But to me, like, I'm much more of a Smash Brothers guy than a Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, insert here, Guilty Gear, like, insert that, whatever, that style of traditional fighter. I'm more of an arena fighter, I guess, guy, with Smash Brothers and whatnot. So, to me, I'm leaving that off there. To those who love it, great, but to me, I'm just not a fighting game guy. So, moving on, we're just about capping off the back half of the 50s here, with 100 through 51. We got 60 through 51 here. Bayonetta 2, The Last of Us, Subsurface Circular, Civ 6, Civilization 6, Into the Breach, Hollow Knight, Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, Death Stranding, interesting that that's on there, Undertale, and Limbo / Inside, which I thought was kind of weird that they include both of those. They're very obviously from the same, studio and team behind it, but they're two different games. They're not the same game. So, Mike, starting off with you, I want you to tell me, what are you keeping and what are you axing?
I will probably give The Last of Us the nod that it deserves to be there.
You scared me for a second. I was going to say,
another
you bitch.
another one of those games that I feel like could probably be higher. Whether or not it's my cup of tea or my flavor, there's null and void here, because the enjoyment that everyone gets from this game is undeniable. So I don't feel right, like, having personal biases here. So I would say Last of Us definitely deserves it. I don't know. I guess a game like it's
getting tough. It's getting tough at this point. Like, we're starting to get into the heavy hitter. Yeah.
I guess if there's one game out of all of these that I could like do without, I guess it'd be Undertale.
Wow.
I mean,
see, that's a game that literally I was thinking about earlier today that somebody tweeted about. It was one of those games I really want to try, and I was even thinking, I'm like, Death Stranding, it's Monday, we're recording. Death Stranding drops on Friday, which is going to be my heavy hitter game, but I'm like, I've heard a lot of good things about Undertale, and it's only like a 5-hour game. Like,
yeah,
maybe that's a game that I kind of pick up and play throughout the week, because I got a lot of shit going on at work and stuff this week, so like I'm not gonna have a lot of time to game. But I'm like, that's one I could pick up on like mobile, like either my Switch or Vita or something like that, and play. Like, fuck, like, I don't know.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not like it's nothing deeper than just the fact that like it's no deeper than like
I don't want to cut any of the other games out, and that's the only game that I could do without.
Hey,
type of
by
thing,
all means,
you know what I mean?
By all means. So, Adam, what are you cooking with, my man? Let me know.
Let's see. I think it was going to be a tight match for this one between Into the Breach and Undertale for me to.
Now
to
you could save it.
stick with.
If you want to save it, you could save it.
I feel like I have to save Undertale in this situation.
Ooh, all right.
And it is like the whole list here is really good, and I'm gonna have a hard time deciding which game I could cut. But it was just one that I thoroughly enjoyed. It came out at a time when I basically had no idea what it was. I had just heard that it was something interesting, and like it hadn't reached the popularity that it eventually reached.
I mean,
when I first played it,
Sans is technically in Smash Brothers now to an extent.
He is, and Toby Fox has continued to compose music for various Nintendo games. He made music in, I believe it was called Little Town Hero, which is like an off Pokemon Game Freak game. And he also managed to get a track into Sword and Shield, apparently.
Nice.
That was like recently announced. So he's just been having a real one lately, and he's still working on Deltarune, which is the follow-up to Undertale.
Yeah.
So I think I forget where I was going with this.
Just keeping it. You were saying you couldn't let that one fall, man.
Yeah, so like I managed to because we said that Sans was in Smash. That's where it segued in. I managed to play the game fresh and basically blind without like kind of all of the other discourse that came up around it. I didn't get spoiled on it, so it was just a special experience for me.
I'm in the same camp right now. Like, I don't know. I know you could attack you could handle all your battles like verbally. You don't have to necessarily go with killing monsters or whatnot. Outside of that, I know nothing else. So I'm going in pretty blind. That's
good. I don't know how you've managed because
I don't either.
through like cultural osmosis, I would assume that most people are spoiled on this game by now. But definitely a recommend from me. As for axing, I'm gonna have to go with. I think for this one, for me, it's going to be Final Fantasy XIV, and that's probably not a surprise because I've never really been into MMOs, and I did try this one. A lot of my coworkers were like, "Hey, you can play this for free." We've all been getting into it, and they were like, just recently, they added a Nier Automata tie-in expansion.
I think I did see that,
and they've been basically gearing up for the last couple of months to, like, in anticipation of that. Like, that's the thing they wanted to go in for. I played up to like level 5 or 10. I just couldn't really get into it. MMOs have never really been my cup of tea. I've always been a solo player anyways, and I think that's to my detriment because I just get bored too quickly. The game is meant to be played with other people. But yet, even though they invited me to play, like, I don't know, I just never could get on at the same time as them. Our schedules never lined up, so
I totally get that. I think it's crazy to see. I think it's an excellent example of where modern gaming is and the industry is in terms of it doesn't matter, and you could be taking this one of two ways. I mean, you could take it the opposite way, but it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. I mean, we're looking at a game that's years old that has really, as its name says, it's a realm reborn, and it's had this ridiculous second wind of a new life to it. That
is fair. That is quite the achievement.
That so many people have found, like, oh my god, this game is excellent. This is what I want in a MMORPG. This is what I want in a live service game that makes me feel like I'm actually seeing progression. I'm actually seeing the hundreds of hours I'm probably going to dump into this game actually have some kind of meaning to it, in a virtual sense, I guess you could say, that your time is not wasted. And for those who, I'm like you, I've never been a big MMO person. I the most I've ever done is WoW, and it's like when I get that itch of, man, I just want to do some fetch quests. I just want to mindlessly, like, I like exploring Azeroth, like, but that's it. I don't venture outside of that too much, so I'm right there with you. On my end, though, this is where it gets tough with me too. I'll just be honest. The game I'm actually gonna axe, and while I am absolutely so excited for this game because of how weird and how crazy it's going to be, I'm going to axe Death Stranding just because it's a game that isn't out yet, and I don't think it's very fair to put on
Out
this
on a
list.
technicality.
Yeah, like I don't think it's very fair to put that on this list already, as the mass populace has yet to really play this. Like
I think
maybe
that's fair.
1% of people who play games have played this game, so and it's just not. I don't think that's very fair to have that on this list. Last of Us, obviously, I would have saved that game in a heartbeat. It's the shining example that I think will go down in history as being able to tell compelling narratives through gaming first and foremost, and also have gameplay that's meaningful and plays into that so well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really one of the staples of, you could tell this is where we're at with games in terms of, no, games aren't this little offshoot that's, this niche like pocket and, kind of sector of multimedia. We can rival cinema. We can rival the storytelling that's found in The Godfather, that's found in all these things, that we could pull those same emotions and those heartstrings through gaming. I'm glad Mike did put it up there. To me, though, one that I'm going to go to bat for, though, is actually Limbo. And I've not played Inside, but I'll obviously include it because they have that on the list here. And I'm okay with putting it on there because they're very similar experiences. But Limbo to me was one of those games that I didn't really like. I knew what to expect in a sense, but it's an excellent example of environmental storytelling. It's very much, you learn as you go. It's almost like, in a sense of, and it also is an excellent example of teaching you how to play the game without really saying too much at all. It's almost like the original Super Mario Brothers, level 1-1 just teaches you how to play the game without even saying a damn word to you. It shows you all the mechanics that go down in this game within the first couple steps. You learn that, oh, I have to push right to go. Oh, I hit my head on these question blocks. Oh, something comes out. It's very much similar to that, where it teaches you the elements of the game so easily without really saying too much, and it does it so well with the environmental storytelling that it has. And it tells this compelling story of this kid who's just wandering, trying to look and get back to life, really. So I'll have to save that. I think that's an important game, especially for the tons of different indie games that followed after that. Definitely had a really big impact on the Xbox One marketplace too, if I remember correctly, with ID at Xbox. So, all right, heading into our top 50 here, 50 to 41. Starting off, we got The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Sea of Thieves, No Man's Sky, Dota 2 Auto Chess, which is surprising. Not just Dota 2, the Auto Chess mod. Fallout New Vegas. FIFA,
Hi, how are you?
FIFA 17, Thumper, Super Hot, the works of Michael Burrow, and NBA 2K12. Adam, we're starting off with you this time.
Fallout New Vegas. Next question.
Yeah, saving Fallout New Vegas. We already know. We don't even really need to go into any detail about that one. What are you going to axe though on this list?
Lot of decent entries here. I think I'm gonna have to axe Dota 2 Auto Chess.
Fair.
Not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried Dota 2's. Gosh, I forget what the actual official title is for it. It's like the Undercroft or something.
Oh, Underlords.
Underlords. Okay, I've tried that. I've tried Teamfight Tactics in League of Legends. Neither of them have appealed to me. Just, not my cup of tea. Every other game on here, I would at least pick up and play. Even FIFA.
Yeah. Mike, what are you saving and what are you canning?
I don't think there's that wrong of an answer besides Dota 2 Auto Chess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess since Adam already got New Vegas, I'll let him have his baby. And even though it's the third best iteration in Elder Scrolls, you're already highlighting what I'm going to save.
Yep.
So I'm saving Skyrim.
Yep, fair.
And I am going to cut NBA 2K12.
Thank you.
FIFA 17.
FIFA's fun once you know how to play.
I think
it's
the
not very
reason why
opposed. Like, it's not the most to me at least, it's not the most approachable sports game out there, or sports franchise game out there.
Yeah. I got really into FIFA because during the World Cup, they had like FIFA 18 or 19 or whatever available. And I think FIFA 17 is the first game that they used the Frostbite engine, which is actually fucking awesome. So that's why I think FIFA 17 is in there. But I'm saving Skyrim and I'm cutting NBA.
Fair. Very fair. All right, on my end, I am going to keep, and this will maybe surprise a lot of people because I did enjoy Sea of Thieves, I'm going to keep No Man's Sky. The way that that game has turned around has been ridiculous. It had, I mean, very much recorded one of the worst launches in, you know, modern gaming history in terms of over-promising and way under-delivering. It was a very buggy mess. I remember I bought it on Black Friday the year that it dropped, and I played it for maybe 20 minutes, and the game crashed, and I was like, I'm done. But whenever they did come out and start fixing it, and then they came out with No Man's Sky Beyond, the really big patch that was the overhaul, and added so much stuff, people love that game. It is, like, still one of the most played games out there in terms of, like, the quote-unquote live service-esque game. It's crazy, man. Whenever it launched, and it was very much in a bad state, Hello Games kind of went dark. They just said, okay, you know what? We hear you. And just put their head down and went to work. And they came back up when they had stuff to say, and they said, listen, we fucked up. We did not deliver on what we promised, and this is how we're going to fix it. And they just started, boom, checking off every box that they said that they were going to do. And they were not a very big studio. They were a pretty small studio. And to come out and do all of that is really, I think, commendable on my end. So that's going to be my save. One that I probably would cut from this is I'd probably say Sea of Thieves. It's a good game, and it's a good base for what Microsoft can do in the future. It's done better than when it did launch. I just don't think it's where it still needs to be at to be a contender on this list comparative to the amount of games that I think deserve to be on this list. I just don't think it's in the same category yet. But look at this maybe, 5 years down the road, and when we have an eventual Sea of Thieves 2 or something like that, I think with Microsoft's funding behind it and Rare seeing what they need to get done to put this game where it needs to be in terms of the live service games that are out there, I think we'll see a different narrative with it. So heading into 40 to 31 here, we got Celeste, Firewatch, God of War 2018, Destiny 2, Titanfall 2, Red Dead Redemption 1 plus the Undead Nightmare DLC, Tetris Effect, Kerbal Space Program, Divinity Original Sin 2, and Bloodborne. Adam, I'm going to kick it to you because I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a divisive list here for you.
This one's throwing me for a loop.
There's a lot of games I know you like on this list, so...
For me, honestly, there are a lot of games I do like here, but the two standouts have got to be Celeste or Divinity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I could go without either of them.
Now you could always, I'm not telling you what to do, but you could always save one of these at the end because you can pick up to 3 games to add on to that list. Or at least present to add on to that list.
Yeah.
But this is your go-to. This is like in the Voice or whatever where you could save somebody. Like, you're saved. You don't have to worry about elimination. This is the game you're looking at. You can pick one.
I think I gotta give it to Celeste.
My man out here.
Divinity OS 2, I think, can survive on its merits, but Celeste, I don't know, it's just got this underdog quality to it, and like, it won a fuck ton of awards, which
oh my god,
completely deserved. But it seems so unassuming on the surface, but I think it's something that everyone should at least try. Divinity OS 2 is not a game for everyone. It's kind of a hardcore CRPG experience. It's not retro, really. I feel like it does a good job of modernizing that experience, but it is definitely a little bit narrower in who could enjoy it.
No, it's very much a specific experience. Like, I like that almost old school PC RPG feel that it has to it with the
Yeah.
isometric view. I like that. I think it's a game that I would like if I'm going to play it, which I want to play it, and I will eventually. Just gotta find the time to play a game that hefty.
Yeah.
It's definitely one I'm gonna pick up on Switch though, because I've heard nothing but good things about the Switch port of it. So I think that's gonna
good.
that's one of those games that it's so big to digest all of that. I would need it to be on the go where I could fit in these 10-minute chunks or whatever, or half an hour chunks
Yeah.
while I'm at my desk at work. Like, hey, I'm gonna start eating my lunch. I'm gonna play it, for a couple minutes just to kill some time and turn off my brain type of deal. So what
Yeah, for
what are you gonna axe on this list?
For this one, I think I gotta give it to. I'm gonna give it to Destiny here. Once again,
Wow.
the curse of the MMO and the Schluter strikes. Just another one of those games that I just can't really get into. It's too repetitive for me. It's
I agree.
grindy, and like while Bungie still has their FPS chops, just in terms of like raw handling and the feeling of
Mhm.
the gunplay, the overall structure does not appeal to me.
Oh God, don't let Matt hear this.
Yeah, Matt's gonna come to your house and like fucking beat you with a bag of soaps.
I'm sorry, Matthew.
He just loves his Destiny.
How dare you?
Is it on to me yet?
Yes, it's on to you. Go
We're
ahead.
saving Red Dead because if any of you poor bastards try to cut that, I'll cut you. And you can go. ahead
I'll
and get
kill you, you yellow
Titanfall-
belly son bitch.
I want to make it quick, and you can get Titanfall 2 the fuck out of here.
Whoa, okay, hold on. Hold the fuck on. Multiplayer wise, not crazy about Titanfall multiplayer. I mean, Apex is in the same universe as that, very similar mechanics, whatnot. No problem there. I like Apex a lot. Their multiplayer's not my cup of tea. I'm telling you, play Titanfall 2's campaign. I'm dead serious. It's probably outside of Doom. I would probably say it's the best shooter campaign this generation, hands down. Like, it's the story is fucking immaculate. And I never thought I'd say that about fucking Titanfall in general, because I disliked Titanfall 1 so much. For some reason, I didn't care for it.
Do I got to get that on the Origin store?
Yes, I would honestly say pick it up. You could honestly, I have it on PS4. I could just let you borrow it if you want. But it's honestly one of those games. You'll find it online somewhere, or you can find it at GameStop or what. It's like $10, but it's one of the best games this generation for its campaign.
Hey pal,
What?
save it then, because I'm telling it. See you later, bud.
I
So you can go ahead and save
I
it
may,
then.
you
Use
know
your
what?
save
I
on it.
may come back to that one and save it on the end. But for right now, I'll let you axe it. I may save it later though. But
I'm asking it a question.
I can't. You got Red Dead on there, so thank you. I can't. I have to include God of War. It's hands down, I think, the best game this generation, until possibly Last of Us Part 2 comes out. And
Whoa! Haven't you played Master Chief Collection?
I was literally gonna say, I think Halo Infinite has the chance to do that from their campaign. From everything that I'm hearing about and the rumblings that I'm hearing about the campaign for it, I think it has the potential to do it from a single player aspect. Multiplayer, we'll have to see. I'm still have my worries with it, but I gotta save God of War. I mean, it's the best single player game that you can get out there, and the way that it transformed, it made me care about Kratos. And I know this is an Xbox podcast, but for the most part, but it made me care so much about a character that I thought I could give two shits about. That was such a cut and dry, bro. I'm mad because I'm mad. I just want to beat someone's ass. No, it made me find depth, and it made me connect with that story in a lot of ways I would have never thought to expect I'd connect with a God of War story, or at least something in that universe. And it's one of the most touching and heartfelt games. And the creative director, Cory Barlog, is one of the greatest human beings in the games industry out there. Follow him on Twitter. You'll see for yourself. He interacts with fans all the time. Like, one of the best human beings out there in games. This to me is a game that I could talk all day about, but I'll save everyone. To me though, keeping off this list, Bloodborne. And I'm sure I'm going to get fucking ate up in comments and Twitter and shit like that for saying it. That's fine. Eat me up. I really don't care. But I'm not a Soulsborne guy. I just cannot. I can't take Soulsborne games. This is our list.
pussy.
This is our list, and I'm all for. I'm so glad Cuphead's on this list because that's a fucking rewarding, difficult game where the pool is the difficulty, but it's rewarding, and I've never felt that with a Soulsborne game. I could say the only exception I could say is really Sekiro, and I really enjoy that game, but that's because it, I think, is such a much more modernized version of the Soulsborne like formula, where Bloodborne doesn't necessarily run that well. It's barely locked at 30 frames, if that, and it's just it kind of goes against the Soulsborne pull, but not in a good way. I've never seen the pull of it, and that's fine. I'll get fucking destroyed in comments. I'm good with that. Whatever. I'm cool with that. But anyways, moving on. 30 to 21. We're almost getting to the home stretch here, guys. We got Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Florence, Portal 2, Doom 2016, Dishonored 2, Outer Wilds, Towerfall, Rocket League, Stardew Valley, and CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Mike, let's hear it, my man.
CS:GO stays.
All right.
For
obvious reasons for you. You've obviously talked about it at length before of your very, very long, detailed history with the Counter-Strike franchise, I'm sure. But
I don't know. Florence is kind of one of those games for me. It's just not really my flavor. Not that it's not a good game, but the rest on this list, it would either be that or AC that I would axe, but I'm axing Florence.
Axing Florence. All right, Adam, let's hear it, my man.
My save for this one is going to be... I gotta go Stardew Valley. I put in a lot of time to that game.
I was gonna say, I thought that was one that you kind of went balls deep in on.
I did. I really wish I could have gotten more out of it when the multiplayer launched. I played a little bit of it, but I think I milked that game for basically all it was worth when I first played. But boy, what an experience that was. 10 out of 10.
What are you going to axe, though?
For my axe...
What are you going to axe a question to?
I think I honestly got to give it to Rocket League.
Wow. All right.
I know I've played it quite a bit, but of these games, like, there's so many good titles here. That's the only one I feel like I could live without.
Wow. All right. Fine.
It was either that or Assassin's Creed.
And you know I like kicking motherfuckers off cliffs. Literally, I just debate them 24/7 on top of that fucking cliff and just...
Yeah, you don't defeat any difficult enemies. You just fucking push them off the cliff.
You're damn right. It's mind over matter, you know? I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to keep, this is easy for me, I'm keeping Doom 2016. I think that's one of the freshest takes on the FPS genre in terms of campaign, story, all that. I'm so hyped for Doom Eternal. That's one of my most anticipated games of this, really the back end of this generation. It's easily in my top 5, I would think. I just think it does so many things so well for the FPS genre and what it tries to do. It's a sect of the FPS genre. It has its multiplayer, but you're playing Doom for that campaign because of the fast-paced motion. You're not worried about precision necessarily, but it's all about ripping and tearing, baby, and it just does it so fucking well. Really, what I gotta axe from this... See, this is tough. I gotta say, I gotta say Towerfall. I'm gonna axe Towerfall. I know, Adam, you've played this game, right? Quite a bit, I believe.
Just a little bit, honestly. I played a couple rounds with friends.
Maybe. Wait, have you played Bastion?
Yes.
Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking that you put more time into then.
Yeah, Towerfall was the Celeste developers.
Yes.
Premiere game.
Yes, I'm much more connected with Celeste. I mean, that's one of my favorite games this generation, hands down. Obviously, if we're putting it on this list, I'm very glad of that. But yeah. Towerfall, I remember looking into it after Celeste, and I played it a little bit because it was on PC, correct?
I think so.
Yeah,
It's also on Switch.
Yeah, I know I didn't play it on Switch. I must have played it on PC. It just didn't really click with me. Celeste is obviously much more my bread and butter with platformers and whatnot, and especially difficult platformers. So I'm gonna axe that because I much more connect with Celeste. So moving on, 20 to 11, we got Journey, Overwatch, Her Story, Persona 4 Golden.
I should have axed Doom just to piss you off. I knew you were gonna pick it, and I should have just been like, "Yeah, Doom, get the fuck out of here. You're garbage." Just to have you come in and be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa."
You know what? You little bitch. You little bitch. Ah, go fuck yourself. Anyways, we got Journey, Overwatch, Her Story, Persona 4 Golden, Nier Automata, everything. Super Mario 3D World, Gone Home, Return of the Obra Dinn, and PUBG. Adam, kick us off here. What are you keeping, and what are you getting the fuck out of here?
I would like to keep Her Story.
Wow,
Now
okay.
that might seem like a strange pick. Of the other games on offer here, most of them I've either never played or don't feel as invested in.
Mm-hmm.
Like Overwatch, it's okay, but I'm not very invested in it. Nier Automata, I played some of it, but I'm sure if I finished it, I'd feel differently. But for now, I gotta go with Her Story. A very unique game, kind of a detective game, but the whole thing is just you searching this database with very limited results. Like, you only can see like the first 3 results of any keyword search. So you have to know what you're looking for. And it matches against words that are spoken in these little video clips. And you have to kind of piece together this story of what happened about I think it's like a murder. And you get all of these clips of interviews from this one woman. And you have to try to figure out like what happened. It's an interesting story. It has a lot of twists. And the game kind of does a good job of like breadcrumbing you along and giving you sort of a logical set of searches to do. There are parts where you have to make leaps, but I feel like it does a good job of guiding you along.
Nice. I've actually heard that before, and really, I totally forgot all about it. And then reading, whenever I saw the article, it popped up. It put it back in my brain. But that made me want to actually check out. I like stories like that. I like unique experiences like that. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are you axing?
This one has got to go to...
Don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it.
What do you think I was gonna do?
I think you're axing PUBG, bro.
That was actually my first gut reaction, but I gotta axe Overwatch.
Wow.
Yeah, baby. Get it the fuck out. Now
Free
I
Hong
have to
Kong.
axe it. I love it. Get it the fuck out of here. See ya.
Free in Hong Kong. You know what? Fair. I can't argue with that. I was maybe gonna save that, and I put that on our run a show here. I put that in a darker red. Put it in a darker red. It's free Hong Kong, bitch.
Did you happen to see my retweet of the Team Fortress 2 comic?
No, I don't think so.
Essentially, it was saying like, oh, people talk about how good the story is in Overwatch's like background lore. None of it takes place in the game, by the way. I don't think it does in TF2 either. But I retweeted this little segment of the comic from TF2, and it managed to deliver way more on an interesting and emotional story beat. Let me just read you the tweet. Everyone goes for the silly examples when comparing TF2's story to Overwatch, for good reason. But Spy disguising himself as Tom Jones to comfort Scout as he dies because he knows that Scout would never accept him as his father is more heart-wrenching than any of Overwatch's attempts at sadness. And I don't know, you can just find my retweet and find these. I don't know who Tom Jones is, but he kind of looks like Bob Ross.
Understandable. Bob Ross. I'll tell you what. Bob Ross, man, what a human being.
For sure, he's one of the Holy Trinity.
I mean, he is the inventor of ASMR, right?
Basically.
I mean, I would think he is. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Mike, what are you keeping? What are you axing? Are you keeping
keep PUBG?
The pubic hair G?
I'm keeping PUBG.
Okay.
Even though my computer wasn't the best, I did have a lot of fun times with different people on it. Even winning once with Adam, that was fun. Played with you some, that was fun. Used to play with my buddy Jason a lot. That was a lot of fun. So I am gonna save PUBG. I'm axing Overwatch.
Again. All right,
Twice.
hold on. I'll put it in a darker red.
He's double dead.
Overwatch is double dead because who doesn't want to shoot into Orisa shields the entire game? And then once you break through Orisa shield, guess what? There's a Reinhardt or someone else with a shield. Or Winston is going to jump on you.
Or, here's another one. Another Orisa shield.
Yeah. It's Orisa shield versus Orisa shield. So it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, but it's garbage. So, yeah, double kill Overwatch.
All right. Fair enough. All right, so on my end, I'm going to keep Gone Home. This is a game that I heard about a long time ago, right whenever it launched, and this was back in late high school, so whatever it came out, 2010, 11, I played it, I believe. Right whenever it came out, I heard about it, and I knew, it was similar to, Adam, how you were saying, you didn't know, basically, you went in blind for the most part to Undertale. That's how I kind of was with Gone Home, and I'm so glad I was, because when I went into it, as you're playing the game, you're very much feeling like you're playing a horror game. You're in this, you're going into this house, you don't know anything really about it, you don't know why you're there, for the most part. Like, you piece together the story as you go along, obviously, but you're basically going through and you're trying to put together the pieces of what feels like your life and the world around you. You're opening drawers, you're finding little notes, you're finding pictures that kind of tell the story, and you start learning about this girl and how she, has a friend that she kind of is in a confusing part of her life, and it ends up, you think you're ending up seeing, one thing, and it looks like it's going one direction in this horror feeling way, to then completely turn around and kind of misconstrue the identity of this game, but in such a good way. I don't want to obviously ruin it. It's a short game. I beat it maybe in an hour, or maybe 2 at the most. I can't remember. But
you can also beat the game in 1 minute if you know where to look.
True. Yeah, true. I've actually heard that as well. So it's a crazy game in terms of it being out of nowhere and surprising me that I can't leave this game off this list. I think more people need to play this game. I think this game needs to be used in case studies for game design and those looking to get into the industry in terms of the design aspects of games and narrative storytelling and everything around it. I just can't leave this off the list. In terms of axing, I'm going to axe.
Do it. Do it.
No, I'm going to axe Persona 4 Golden. And the only reason I'm going to is because I'd much rather see Persona 5 on this list. Because from what I've played of it, it's one of those games I can pick up and play anytime and find progression in it and slowly chip away at it, because it's going to take me almost 100 hours to beat it. But every moment that I'm playing that game, I'm enjoying it and I'm seeing worthwhile of spending time in it. So, that's just me. I have more of a connection with 5, so maybe that's one that I hope maybe Adam brings to the list, maybe, or even I do. I don't know at the end here, but yeah, I'm going to axe that. Overwatch is down and dead. The body's been kicked into the grave, and, it's gone. It gone. So, guys, we've reached it, the top 10 of this list. So, are we ready to dive in?
I'm ready.
All right. We got Fortnite, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Dark Souls, PT, aka Playable Teaser, from the PlayStation Store that ended up being the demo for the canceled Silent Hill game from Hideo Kojima, League of Legends, Pokemon Go, Kentucky Route Zero, Spelunky.
Continue.
You okay? You okay, Poppy? You got poop?
I'm in my jammies. Continue.
Go to poopy. The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Minecraft. Mike, since you seem to have
Get League of Legends the fuck out of my face. Get it out of here.
I thought
No surprises there.
Actually,
you
in all seriousness, I'm gonna protect. I don't know. I know which two you guys are gonna protect. Get Fortnite out. Get it out of here.
Ooh.
I don't want
Wow,
Fortnite.
okay,
Get it
alright.
out.
All right.
And I don't really have a dog in this hunt, so I'm not protecting anything.
What?
All of them are fair enough the way it is. I don't feel like any of them need my protection because you guys aren't going to cut them. So yeah, I'm not protecting any of these. I know
Bold
Travis is
move.
going to protect Zelda, and I know Adam's going to protect Minecraft. So the other games it's fine.
See, this is. I'm just gonna kind of jump in here, Adam. I wanna let you actually cap this one off. See, part of me I feel like, and don't get me wrong, I never had the chance to play PT because it was pulled from the PlayStation Store, but I've watched enough playthroughs of it. It's the fucking freakiest game, and I think it is the perfect example of how horror games should be. But it's a demo, and it's not an actual complete game necessarily. It is a mood setter. It is a proof of concept. I don't think it should be in the top 10 of all-time games of the 2010s. I think it's just a good piecemeal and a good, just kind of like, it's like tasting a wine. Like, oh yeah, that's good, but it's not the bottle of it. It's not an actual glass of it. It's just, a tease of something. Like, I don't necessarily think it's fair for that to be on there. At the same time, Kentucky Route Zero isn't complete, so I don't necessarily think that should be on here. Fuck it. I like Kojima. I think he's fucking weird as shit, and I love it. I'm gonna axe Kentucky Route Zero just because it's not fucking complete. I'm going to. I gotta say Breath of the Wild. It's one of the greatest games of all time in terms of.
I should have axed it.
Fuck you.
I haven't played heal at all tonight.
No, you haven't, and you've played fair. You've played really fair, and I'm actually really proud of you that you didn't necessarily be shit on one thing specifically, Overwatch. But that was fair. That was deservedly so for how things have been treated lately with Blizzard. So, Adam, I'm going to kick it to you to cap off at least the list, the formal list of this.
Right.
What are you keeping and what are you axing?
I'm gonna start by axing Spelunky.
Okay,
You're axing
fair.
Spelunky at questions.
I could do without Spelunky. Okay, it's a fine game. Like, it's okay, but it does not deserve to stand at the heights that these. I feel like pretty much every other
Spelunk your
game,
ass out of here.
Exactly. I feel like every other game, all 9 other games here, for better or worse, because of the broad. There's no accounting for taste, right? The other 9 deserve to be here. They're kind of peers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Spelunky is a peer to League of Legends or Zelda Breath of the Wild or Minecraft.
Now, at the same time, remember, for those listeners listening in, this is our list. These are the games we connect with and we think are the best of 2010 to 2019 of our taste. You get what I'm saying.
Right.
So spelunk your ass out of here. Sorry, bye-bye. If you like Spelunky, that's great.
I'm sure, I'm not saying it's bad.
It has an
actually
audience.
really enjoy
It
it.
definitely has an audience.
I would put it above Fortnite, for example, but since that's already been axed, and I just don't think it had that much reach. These other games, The Witcher, Dark Souls, PT, League, Pokemon, Zelda, Minecraft, these are like a big deal.
Yeah. Interesting, just before you give your note, I definitely think Pokemon Go is definitely deserving to be on this list. I'm also surprised that no other Pokemon made this list, because Pokemon Go and mainline Pokemon definitely aren't the same thing, if you ask me.
Correct.
I'm just surprised that not one Pokemon game, for as highly as some of them have been rated in the past decade, didn't make it on the list, but continue.
I feel like Pokemon just kind of doing its own thing out there. Go felt like something that appealed to more than just people who've been following the series forever.
Oh my god, it was a pop culture phenomenon. It was what Pokemon did in the late 90s in general. It
was the first Pokemon game I finished.
Yeah.
I was sitting there at the bar catching catching Pokemans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all were. that was a thing in 2016.
At any rate, without further ado, because Travis already picked Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which would have been my other choice, I got it handed off to what I believe, sincerely, to be the game of the decade. Minecraft.
You already know. You already
Crafting
know.
mines. I've been crafting mines for basically 10 years. You guys know this.
Yeah.
When Zach Waddell came into chorus class and was like, check
no.
out this game, I was like, that looks dope as shit. I think I'm going to play it for 10 years. Thanks, Zach.
Who knew
That's-
that Zach fucking
should've axed
Waddell
it.
would have such an impact on your life?
I should have
I-
axed the
not
shit
I,
out of that
sir.
game.
But say what you want about Minecraft, but I feel like it kind of has defined this decade. It's been around almost the entire time, and it has more or less remained relevant for all that time. Even now, it's still got a large following on Twitch with like really big streamers playing it.
Oh, it's had
The
its like
game is-
sixth wind already this
Yeah.
year. Like it's
Like the memes alone have been enough to carry it along, and it got purchased by Microsoft
Mhm.
after being created by Hatsune Miku, and it's just
it's there, man.
I feel like it has near. I want to say it has near universal appeal, but I know there are parts of it that are taken for granted and definitely don't appeal universally. So I won't go that far, but I will say I believe it is one of the most important and influential games of this decade. If you hadn't picked Breath of the Wild, that would have been my pick, but giving it to Minecraft.
And little shameless plug here, because it's a plug for ourselves. Check out our Minecraft episode that Adam and I sit down and we do a deep dive on the franchise in general and the game that started it all. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap up the list there. Now it's time to dig in and kind of cap
The
off
bonus round.
our bonus round and kind of cap off our list in general. So, we're going to bring up to three.
What did you axe?
What did I axe? I axed
Yeah.
Kentucky.
KRZ.
Yeah, Kentucky Route Zero because it isn't a finished game.
I'm protecting it.
Fuck out of here with.
I saved my protection.
He did. He kept it in his back pocket, the ace in the hole.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
even know what the fuck the game's about, but I'm saving
Get the
it.
fuck out of here! No,
I think
can't
you play
even-
as a trucker who wanders around a haunted highway.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, give me that game. Inject that shit in my veins. It's protected.
Anyways,
It's protected.
are you really protecting it? You're gonna.
Yes.
You're
I
gonna.
Travis,
saved it.
I believe you have to honor the rules of the game.
No,
here.
I do. Fine. We're putting it on there.
Put it on there, pussy boy.
There you go.
Unread it. Yeah. See.
There
Get
we
rid
go.
of the
All right.
red. That's right.
Fine. It's
All
on there. There you go.
Attaboy.
For those who are just listening, we're keeping track of these in the document, and we're highlighting in red the ones that get axed.
Anyways, it's time for our bonus round to kind of cap off and put a lid on our list. Now, you guys can bring up to 3 choices that you want to add to this list. Adam, what are you thinking of adding? What do you think
I think-
deserves to be on this list? Not just only outside of the list that we first read through, but just in general from outside in gaming for the past 10 years.
I think you guys are going to see this one coming, but I do believe that the pathologic games deserve to be on here.
Definitely agree.
I don't know if I can really bundle those together. If I had to pick one, I would say Pathologic 2 is the more definitive experience for me,
Mhm.
even though I haven't finished it yet. It just, with everything that's been going on with Death Stranding, the reviews coming out, people who are playing it early, there's talk of it being kind of impenetrable and kind of resisting the player playing it, but people are still drawn to it somewhat because of that factor,
Mhm.
and somewhat because there's more that is of value underneath the parts of the game that resist you.
Mhm.
And because it's such a high profile game, I'm excited that people are getting on board with that idea. I hope that their patience will be extended to other games like Pathologic that I believe deserve more attention than they currently have. I'm not saying it deserves more attention than Death Stranding.
Mhm.
I just think if you're into that game, then you should check this out. Because it does a lot, I think, to advance games as a medium. It does stuff that other games just have never done.
Yeah. No, I definitely think so too. It's definitely one of the most interesting narratives in gaming. Hands down, full stop.
So let's go one at a time, I think. We'll
Mhm.
pass this on to Mike next.
Mike, what do you got?
What game outside of this list deserves to be on this
Mhm.
list?
Do you have any? You don't have to have any at all. But if you...
I think I know one that might be in there that hasn't been brought up yet.
By me, from me?
Wait a second, no. The release date's not in this decade. Never mind.
Ah, damn it. Go ahead, Mike. If you don't have any, you don't have any. That's fine.
I don't know, man. I don't really think I have one that's outside of there.
And nothing in that list previously that you were like, fuck, I kind of am torn between that should go in there, or...
Let me scroll through the list. Well, I kept Skyrim and D3. Not really. This decade's been kind of bad for me for games.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough.
It's been a rough decade,
It's been
man.
a rough decade for me, man. So
Takes a long drag of a cigarette.
it's been bad.
It's been rough. My end, as obviously I've talked about in the past, to me this is a no-brainer. Uncharted 4, I believe, deserves a excellent position on that list because it is the best entry in my opinion in the franchise. 2 is great, but I think Uncharted 4 is the sum of all parts and just does everything that Uncharted does well, from a cinematic approach to telling that Indiana Jones style story by also finding heart and depth at the same time. I think Uncharted 4 is one of those examples that you sit down and show people this is what gaming could offer in 2019. Who's somebody who's looking to get back into gaming, even just saying this is one of the things that could be offered from a graphical and storytelling approach that also has fun gameplay. So to me, that's a no-brainer that needs to go on this list. Adam, do you have any more, my friend?
Let's see. I might have to look at my Steam library real quick just to see what's towards the top.
We might be here all night then.
Well, I'm not going to spend too much time deciding, but I'm trying to think if there are games I've played. There are some that I could think of in recent memory that are like, oh yeah, that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to give older games a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
So give me like 60 seconds to just glance at my top played games on Steam.
While you're doing that, I'm going to add another one. And
Go
it's
ahead.
one that I need to save. Rocket League. I'm bringing back Rocket League.
All right.
I think that's done wonders for pushing crossplay, because they were really one of the first to be like, no, it doesn't matter what other, hardware manufacturers are saying. We're going to push crossplay as best as we can and really have it ready. And they were the first ones to kind of say, yeah, it is as easy as flipping a switch for us to do it. So we're going to do it. So I'm saving Rocket League, plus them being this underdog story of releasing on PlayStation Plus for free, just literally releasing their game for free, a full retail game on PlayStation Plus, and it just blowing up and becoming this cultural phenomenon in the gaming landscape. It has to be on this list.
Fair enough. Alrighty, so I believe I have given my library a fair shake, and I have to say, I have not found anything yet that I believe beats my first intuition.
Wow.
Wait. Whoa.
What?
Wolf Among Us. Telltale.
I was waiting for you to put that on here.
I forgot all about it. That's the one. That is the best game that Telltale has ever done. It's the only good game that they'll ever do.
Wow.
And they should not wasted their time with bullshit Minecraft story and The Walking Dead and stupid Borderlands. They should have just continued to pump out The Wolf Among Us because it was the best thing that they ever put their hands on. And will probably ever put their hands on because they're dead. I mean, I know they're back, but...
I don't think any of the people who used to work there are working there anymore.
We'll say a prayer for our season 1.
I shall perform your rites.
Jesus Christ. Adam, do you have any more?
I do. I have at least one more.
All right, let's
I gotta say, Disco Elysium has just been like on my mind a lot lately. I've played and walked away, and every time I leave, I'm like, I gotta go back.
Mhm.
I gotta go back to Revachol and unwind this mystery. And also, I would die for Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. He is my boy, and I think you guys should give this game a try. Maybe sometime we'll just play a couple minutes of it together. And you can get a taste of just like the writing in this game is immaculate. I don't know what else to say about it.
Absolutely. And actually, I almost threw it in our news section earlier, but it is coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 in the future.
Excellent.
So that is definitely one I will pick up on console and try out, just for the simple fact that it's a little more flexible for me to play outside of my PC right now. So
are we up to 2, and 1 with Mike having 1 right now? Okay.
Yes. So do you have one more?
I'm gonna keep searching here. But you go ahead if you have one in mind.
I have my final one, and it was because I didn't want to bring it up in the 20 to 11 range. Super Mario 3D World came up. I didn't want to axe that because that's a good game, and I didn't want to save that because that's not the best Mario game to come out this decade. But the best Mario game that came out, and one of the best games this decade period, Super Mario Odyssey, needs to be on this list. What a fucking game, man.
Oh, for sure.
It is the Mario game I think a lot of people had been waiting for and wanting for so long. Not that either of the Galaxy games or 3D World, 3D Land, what have you, not that they were bad by any stretch of the imagination. Those are great. Same with like New Super Mario Brothers in general. That franchise is great. It was starting to get I think people were starting to get a little burnt out by it, but people were ready for that open sandbox style Mario game to come back, like 64, like Sunshine, and Super Mario Odyssey was just that. It is the fucking best. That game, when you're playing it, you have a smile on your face, period. No matter if you're getting to parts of that game where some of the moons are fucking hard as shit to get, it just, you do it with a smile on your face because it's just so fun. Well, you know what? I like joy, Mike. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a happy person. I look at the glass half full. I don't know what to tell you.
And to wrap things up, I'm surprised that this was not anywhere in these lists. At least I don't think I saw it, but Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
I know. I was waiting for a Smash Brothers game to come up, and it never did.
I would say either Smash Bros. Ultimate, because I have been playing that at work since it came out without fail, like twice a day. My coworkers and I would just run back there. It's the thing we do to take a break from work, to give our minds a rest, and just mindlessly beat the crap out of each other for a couple minutes before we go back. And it's still fun.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Absolutely. But guys, I think that's going to put a cap on our episode. Almost 2.5 hours in is a fucking big one, but I think I'm glad we did this. We've been kind of keeping it to about an hour 15 or so for most episodes. This is one that I knew was going to be long, but I think it's full of good discussion. I really like this one. I love doing lists like this and kind of these deep dives. And really, obviously, if we're looking back a decade, it's going to take a while. So,
I've had a blast with this.
Yeah, I think our list is good. Let's recap our list.
In a couple weeks, we'll have to do a 2000s episode. That one's gonna get wild.
I would like to do that. I would like to do maybe eventually, because obviously we have some plans for different shows and different packages that we're going to offer you in the future. I think maybe one of those, I'd like to do a ranking show, maybe like a monthly type one, where we sit down and it could be a long form deep dive discussion, kind of like this one, where we kind of go through and rank maybe decades worth, or these are the all-time best RPGs or whatever. So, but in terms of our list for the top games of the past decade, the 2010s, baby, we got our list. Fire Emblem Three Houses, Cuphead, Super Mario Maker 2, Resident Evil 7, Papers, Please, Monster Hunter World, Mass Effect 2, Beat Saber, Mario Kart 8, Diablo 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, GTA 5, The Last of Us, Undertale, Limbo / Inside, Fallout New Vegas, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, No Man's Sky, Celeste, Red Dead Redemption Plus, The Undead Nightmare DLC, God of War, CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Stardew Valley, Doom 2016, Her Story, PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Gone Home, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Minecraft, Kentucky Route Zero, Pathologic
Yeah, baby.
2, Pathologic 2, Uncharted 4, Rocket League, The Wolf Among Us, Disco Elysium, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And those are in no specific order. Go fuck yourself with this. This little, to cap it all off, you're probably the one who shit his pants right outside the movie theater and then ran away.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I thought about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I thought about Doom 2016, and that was my reaction. I just shit myself.
Well, that's unfortunate that, your bowels have bad taste, I guess. Anyways, guys, that's finally going to put a cap on our episode. Adam, where can people find you on the internets to discuss our lists and what games they liked from the past decade?
You can tell me that all my choices were wrong at AC_Marshy on Twitter. That's AC_MARSHY on Twitter.
It seems like most people do when it comes to these lists. Mike, let's hear it. Where can people find you so they can discuss these games and lists?
But first, I gotta ask, can we bring Joe on the show?
Joe who?
Joe Mama.
That's why I didn't answer. That's why I didn't answer.
Edgy meme lord at TOYSXLDIER at LL Toy Soldier LL on Xbox Live and at MP_Toy Soldier on Twitch.
We can only have Joe on if Bofa can come too.
Anyways, I am your host, Travis White, aka Travlis, on most internet platforms, including Twitter at Travlis_, that's TRAVLESS_. You can find me streaming time to time on twitch.tv/Travlis_, same as Twitter. And you can play some games with me on Xbox Live, just regular Travlis, TRAVLESS. You can also find the show on Twitter at GPGC Podcast. We do tons of dank maymays, tons of big giveaways too, including our free game giveaway right now. We also just did a Call of Duty Modern Warfare poster surprise giveaway. That one finally got sent out today after some mishaps with the post office. So that one's going out to our winner today. But we do tons of great giveaways, and we love hearing your feedback on the show. The podcast drops every Friday morning. You can find it on YouTube, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere you get a podcast, we're on there. If not, let me know. And with that being said, thank you so much for listening, tuning in, viewing, sharing, just being a part of our growing community. Get out there, play some fucking video games, and we will see you next week.